10 variations, and then we have 8th flash, quarter flash, half flash, full flash. So you had to know what your inventory is by memory for the most part. And occasionally, you know, if inventory got too high in one area, I'd say, well, definitely don't. You know, if Joe says, hey, do you need any of this? Respond no, because it just doesn't make sense from a small business standpoint.
And you said inventory through memory. I'm going to show you Defendant's L16. It's just one example. Were you able to remember at any given time each number of each of those types of boxes?
Well, if I'm handling it on a daily basis, yes. Deficiencies mostly.
Well, and for example, when you have to invoice, like the Russ said, do you have any procedure that kind of tells you how you're going to invoice that?
Typically what I'll do is very quickly, usually movie productions, television productions are last minute, and oftentimes the invoicing comes a week or two after the service has been provided, and so oftentimes I'll quickly jot down what it is that's being sent, take a picture of it, and oftentimes things go, if they're shipped, everything goes overnight. So it's a last minute kind of business.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach? I'll show this. Sir, I'm going to approach and show you Defendants EE and FF. And I'll ask you if you recognize these two documents.
I do.
You need readers?
No, that's okay. Yep.
What are those documents?
This is an invoice made out to Russ Production with Sarah Zachary here as well.
And can you look in the back of the one you just looked at and see what the sticker number is? On the back of the page, just flip it over. Yeah, that little sticker. FF, does that say that?
That says FF. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just read for the record from FF, and what is EE? The other exhibit?
You haven't introduced these.
No, I was just going to ask to move them in, Your Honor. Just have them identify EE.
Okay. So FF is an invoice for blank ammunition as well as dummy rounds.
Okay, and is that your invoice, sir?
Yes, it is.
And is it the same for EE? If you could take a look at that.
And this EE is an invoice for guns, replicas, rubber guns, gun bags and socks.
Okay, and not get into the contents. You just recognize that, do you not?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
I would move for the admission of those two exhibits.
No objection.
EE and FF are admitted. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Defendants.
So, Mr. Kenny, I'm first going to show you Defendants EE. And you were just telling the jury, can you just summarize this and don't go into every item?
Sure. This is the gun, replica, and rubber invoice to the Russ Production from PDQ.
Mr. Bowles, hold the exhibit real quick. Can we approach one?
Yes.
Possibly some 4570. I don't recall exactly.
So were there other invoices?
No.
Okay. So there were certain items that you did not invoice for.
That's correct.
Okay. And did that also include what's called primed cases?
No, prime cases would not be in the dummy round line of the invoice. That would be listed out separately, because one is a consumable, the other one is a rental, and prime cases would be a consumable.
And I want to talk a little bit about that, but you provided Sarah Zachary some primed cases for rust, correct?
Not that I recall. I mean, I'd have to look at the invoice.
Okay. What is a primed case?
A prime case is simply that. It's a ammunition case that has a primer without gunpowder. Typically, Joe Swanson crimps the end because what happens is that they're too long. If he doesn't crimp the end, they're too longer to actually be functional in a revolver. And they're simply, like a loud cap gun when they go off. They're good for training. They're good for around horses and kids. And certain armorers will rig them up in theater as well. Live theater will use them with talcum powder for an effect with minimal noise and also for close proximity.
Do you recall telling Detective Hancock when you interviewed with her that you had given a number of prime cases to Sarah, and it will be interesting to see what color primers they have?
No, I don't recall that.
If I showed you your interview transcript, would that refresh?
It would help, yeah.
Okay. It's page 32. Okay, sir, if I can have that back. Did you indeed tell Detective Hancock that you had given a number of primed cases to Sarah?
Well, it's interesting because it says prime cases, and that I would have said primed. I never say prime cases. It just sounds like you're ordering some off of Amazon. So I don't recall that conversation. I don't even know what I'm referring to in that conversation.
Well, do you recall that there was discussion about those being there, and that you looked for a picture to show Hancock?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Do you recall stating that chances are they'll all have the same color primer?
This conversation, I just don't remember the particulars of this conversation with Detective Hancock.
But do you recall at all, regardless of the conversation, that Sarah Zachary had primed cases on the set of Rust?
If they're on the invoice and it's a dummy, or excuse me, it's a blank round, and I would include a primed case in a blank round invoice, because again, it's a consumable. I would not be surprised if they got primed case blanks, let's call them.
Well, sir, don't you know that? Don't you know you provided that to Sarah Zachary?
No, it was 2.5 years ago.
But this was a traumatic event for everybody. You talked to you remember that, don't you?
I remember it being traumatic. Yes,
no,
absolutely.
You remember providing those cases because you discussed it for 5 pages in this.
No, I don't remember.
Do you recall during this conversation as well that you called a man named Troy Teskey?
I've called Troy Teskey a number of times in the last 6 years.
I'm asking you specifically, during the interview with Detective Hancock, November 1st, do you recall that you You called Troy Teskey.
In the interview room, yes, with detective at the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, yes.
Yes, because he was at lunch. You called him. You were trying to reach him.
Yes, now I understand what you're talking about.
Okay. And do you recall also calling Joe Swanson as you were sitting down with the detective?
I do.
And do you recall when you asked Joe Swanson whether he had put these in boxes, how many rounds he had made in total? He said about 700 is what you said. Do you recall saying that he had made about 700 rounds?
I have a vague recollection of the conversation with Detective Hancock, yeah.
And as you're talking to Joe Swanson and you ask him if they were in the box or the green ammo can, do you recall he's on the phone with you and you're asking if they were in the green ammo can and you say...
Objection.
And again, Mr. Kenny, do you recall you said, as you're on the phone...
I think I was worried that it was going to be some of these rounds that Thale had given to Troy Teskey and had been using, to shoot, right? Shooting live rounds, that somehow they migrated in some of Thale's leather or... through Hannah in some way, and that again we were going to be here saying Joe Swanson live ammunition when he's primarily 99.9% of the time he just provides movies and television shows with blanks and dummy rounds, and that's an uncomfortable situation for Joe Swanson.
So you just gave a long explanation and you just kind of tried to blame Hannah in that, didn't you just now?
How did I do that? I don't.
Well, you gave the implication that you were worried that this was going to be some that Bill had and Troy was shooting, and again that's to try to link it to Hannah, isn't it?
No, just telling you my thought process at that point, trying to figure out where did the Rust live ammunition come from, and was it going to point back to Joe Swanson?
Okay, and do you recall on July 11, 2023, you interviewed with myself and Miss Morrissey? You recall that, sir?
Yeah, the Zoom meeting, yes, I recall that.
And do you recall when I asked you the same question, shit, why did you say shit? You said, I don't know. And that was the extent of your answer. You recall that?
Yes.
So back in July 11, 2023, your memory, would you agree with me, would be fresher to that time frame when you said it than it would be now?
Well, not if I had reviewed things or something else jogged my memory of that event, or because it was an emotional time, and that I found that largely when things are emotionally charged, there kind of needs to be some kind of gateway between the present and recollecting how I felt and the way things were at that point in time.
And I understand, but would you agree with me? You gave a different answer on July 11th, I don't know, than you do today.
Well, I don't know if I don't know is really an answer, other than at that moment in time after us discussing it, I hadn't thought about saying shit 4 times in an interview with a detective.
The rounds, again, that went to 1883 came back at some point to your place. Again, some of those reloaded rounds from Joe Swanson were Starline brass.
So the 1883 cowboy camp, training camp, just to be specific, yes, some of those Thale Reed, Joe Swanson reloads came back to PDQ in Albuquerque.
And as well, some of your dummy rounds also were Starline brass, correct?
Correct.
And they had nickel primers?
Correct.
Okay. And the live rounds found on set that were Starline brass also had nickel primers, correct?
On the set of Rust?
Yes, sir.
From the evidence photos, yes, those were nickel primers.
As well?
Yes.
Okay. And In addition to providing replica firearms, did you provide rubber firearms to the set?
To the set of Rust, yes.
Okay. Did you provide over 3,000 rounds of ammo?
I don't know what the total of, if we're referring to
Blanks.
blanks, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the total is of blanks to Rust. I've never totaled it out. Well, other than the invoice, that would have been the only time.
Okay. When you would get a request from Sarah Zachary for additional rounds that were needed, would she come pick those up from you at your place?
I think once the initial supply of blanks and firearms were provided to Sarah, there was only one other occasion that I can recall Sarah coming and getting anything for Rust from me, which was on October 12th.
Okay, and do you recall Sarah and Hannah coming before Rust started to your place?
I do.
And at that time, didn't you give Hannah her leathers, as well as firearms and ammunition?
I vaguely recall that, that she got that done.
Because, in fact, Hannah had mailed you the leathers back from the old way at the end of that set. You recall that?
Yeah, she had shipped everything from Montana to me in Texas.
And so when you received those in Texas and the leathers and everything else, you brought them back to pubg Props?
That's correct. They were... The leathers were in the same box. They never got pulled out. The replica firearms did get pulled out, but the rest of the leathers remained in the box.
Okay, sir. Then you gave that to Sarah and Hannah for their use on the Rust set. Is that fair to say?
Well, whatever she was going to do with it was up to Hannah and Thale.
Okay. But do you know they got used on the Rust set?
I don't know that. I can assume that's where that leather went to.
Okay. Now I want to ask you some questions about the dummy rounds that you answered earlier. You did indicate that dummies that do not rattle can be dangerous. Is that right?
Dummy rounds that do not rattle are not dummy rounds to me.
Okay. And I think you said because it is dangerous when an armor is trying to figure out, maybe in a high-speed environment, maybe things are going on, you're trying to distinguish between a live round and a dummy, and it will not rattle. It doesn't rattle. Didn't you describe that as being a dangerous situation?
Well, certainly, because it's like a firearm that you can't check is unloaded. You have to assume that it's loaded or that the round is live and it's not a dummy round.
Yes, sir. And you also stated that you would not source those type of rounds like Denix rounds that do not rattle, right?
That's correct.
And it's one of the things you said that you would not be in favor of having a mixture of dummies, some that rattle, some that don't. That's a dangerous situation, isn't it?
Well, it's I work with prop crews a lot. They're not specialists, they're not armorers, but they are charged with the responsibility of having gun belts and dummy rounds on set. And if they get the idea that dummy rounds don't necessarily have to rattle, bad precedent, deadly precedent.
It sets a deadly precedent, and on this set on Rust, you're aware that there were those types of a mixture of different types of dummy rounds, are you not?
Well, I wasn't aware of that. Because,
well, you weren't before, but you are now, having reviewed the pictures.
Yeah, the Denix round is a costume round that doesn't rattle.
Okay. So after you reviewed the pictures from set, you're now aware that there was a dangerous mix of types of dummies, some that rattled, some that didn't.
Well, a Denix round is not dangerous. It sets a dangerous precedent.
Okay. And I'm not saying, you can fire it. I'm just saying, in your words, it can set a dangerous precedent.
Yeah, it's not an ideal situation, not at all.
Okay, sir, I want to talk about your interactions with Detective Hancock in this case. When the case started, do you recall you had a meeting or call with her maybe the same day as the shooting incident?
No, I don't. With Detective Hancock?
Yes.
On October 21st? Don't recall it at all. I don't think it happened.
Okay. Do you recall that on the course of time after that shooting incident, you called Detective Hancock over 40 times?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Do you think it might have been higher than that?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. And during that time, you're sharing information with her, she's sharing information with you, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And doesn't she share you materials from the investigation at times?
The first time that I think she showed me anything was when they were executing the search warrant on the prop truck. She was showing me, I think they were black and white, grainy photos.
Okay.
That was the first time I saw anything.
Now, do you recall providing Detective Hancock some of the live rounds before the execution of the search warrant?
I did.
Okay. So you provided her some, and was that in a bag, or how did you give those to her?
Well, interestingly enough, it came from that jammed lever-action rifle, and they happened to be the semi-wad cutter live rounds. They were in a small Benelli shotgun choke bag, and I had written on there in black ink live, and there were between 5 and 7, I believe, that I gave her.
Okay. And you volunteered those to her, and she took them, then they came to search after that, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And again, there was a month time frame or so, roughly, between the shooting incident and that search of your place.
Yeah, I believe it was over a month, because it was after Thanksgiving, so yeah, over a month.
Did you have any inkling or thought that they were going to come search?
No, not at all.
Even though you had been in contact with the detective and other people before that, and you knew they were investigating?
I knew they were investigating. I had no reason to believe that they would be executing a search warrant on my business.
Now, did you provide your DNA to Detective Hancock?
No, I did offer it though.
You offered it?
Yes,
And they did not take you up on that?
that's correct.
And they did not take your fingerprints either, did they?
Well, my fingerprints are in the system already. If you're a federal firearms licensee, that's just part of the licensing, is that your fingerprints go into the digital federal system.
And I understand that, sir, but my question was, did they take your fingerprints?
Again, no.
Okay. Well, they didn't take it the first time. That was somebody else.
That's true.
Okay. Now I want to ask you a different topic. After this, you were asked on direct if after this October 16th accidental discharge, you had had an argument with Miss Gutierrez Reed. Do you recall that?
By text message, yes.
Okay. And you recall after that you wanted to fire Miss Gutierrez Reed?
It wasn't that I wanted her fired, because it wouldn't be for me to fire her. She can tell me to go to hell all day long, and it wouldn't make a difference to the Rust production. It doesn't, I've got 5 sisters and 2 daughters. I'm used to it. So if Rust production is happy, and they were, Sarah Zachary said she's a great armor. That I've seen the defendant Hannah. She sent me the text message that the director had sent her after a big shootout on blank ammo shootout, big shootout.
And Mr. Kinney, my question was pretty simple, and
Okay.
let me ask it again.
Okay.
You just testified that you did not want to that you did not want to fire Hannah. Is that your testimony?
It's not that I wanted her fired. She was doing a horrible job at props. That was an issue.
Okay, you answered my question, and I just want to know, it's a real...
I had mixed feelings about it, and I think that's why, in fact, I reached out to 2 common friends with Thale, saying this is the situation, Okay.
Well, do you recall in your interview on November 1st stating she was just being an idiot. I wanted Sarah to get rid of her.
Collectively, yes. I mean, even now, frustrated with her, but at the same time, understand what she's up against. So it's a mixed bag of emotions, and ultimately was not my call.
My question was did you remember stating that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's what I asked. Now, do you also recall in the July 11th interview stating, well, I wasn't going to work with her again in the future? So you wanted her fired.
I just, again, it was, there were some mixed emotions and in the situation. If I really wanted her fired, I could have gotten her fired.
Let me ask you that: if you could have gotten her fired, you could have talked to somebody on set. Who was your contact on set?
It would have been, Gabrielle Pickle was actually Angel Nijum was my first contact with production at Rust. And then it was Gabrielle Pickle, line producer, unit production manager Ro Walters. Those would have been the ones to fire her. Sarah Zachary was willing to work with Hannah and get the movie finished.
And
Council approach.
yes.
This case makes me think about how people get hurt in all kinds of situations.
It was, there were some mixed emotions and
At 1 o'clock.
This case makes me think about how people get hurt in all kinds of situations that should not happen. And if you do get injured, it is so important to know your rights and whether you should be compensated.
So does that refresh your memory?
it does.
So now do you recall having a conversation with Detective Hancock about how one could turn a dummy into a live round?
Yes.
And can you tell Jerry, how would you do that?
Well, the easiest thing would be to have reloading equipment press out the inert primer. And first, if we imagine a dummy round where the bullet is actually pressed into the case, and you had an inert primer, you'd need a fairly complicated setup of reloading equipment. You need either a kinetic bullet puller to remove the bullet from the case. If you used a set of pliers, it would mangle the bullet and prevent seating afterwards. In a die, if you had reloading equipment. So you'd have to somehow remove the bullet from the case. We're assuming there's a BB or a number 2 lead shot rattle that would have to be removed. You'd have to have a decapper to press out the inert primer, and then you could use the same bullet, assuming it wasn't mangled, and you'd have to have a live primer and a charge of powder, and then be able to have the appropriate dye and seat it to the appropriate depth, as well as putting in, again, the fresh primer, the primer installer.
Okay, and then you'd have to get the proper amount of grains of powder in there as well?
Yes.
Okay. And what would that generally be?
Well, historically, I think in the pre-1900 era, it would be roughly 28 grains of powder from memory, if that's correct. And then it depends on the powder as well, all the way up to the case capacity, which means essentially you fill it up all the way and maybe even press the bullet into the case so it's compacting the powder.
Okay. Now, I want to go over something you said before lunch on the leathers. You said that these were mailed back from the Old Way movie by Hannah to yourself, and that you provided these to her, correct?
Yeah, they were shipped back via FedEx.
And they were shipped in a box from the Old Way, and then you never removed them from the box, correct?
That's correct.
So, but then, would you agree with me then that those leathers were then used on the Rust site?
I don't know that. All I know is that that box, and I'm unaware of the quantity in there. I did take a photo at the time. I don't know how many were in there and whether or not they used them.
Okay, so you opened it up and you looked in it.
Yes, I opened it up. I took a picture.
Okay. With regard to the prop truck search, we didn't talk about that yet. When you went to the set on October 27th, you already had the code to the safe, correct?
Yes.
And Sarah had given that to you?
Yeah, she sent it to me by text.
And Sarah was technically your employee of PDQ Props, correct?
Sure, she was the representative of PDQ for the Rust production.
And she's the one that called you right after the shooting incident. You all talked for 30 seconds to a minute. Is that right?
It was a very quick conversation, yes.
And your testimony under oath is that you did not tell her to throw any of those rounds away.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay. But then she did throw them away.
I learned about that months later.
Okay. And did you know that guns had been transported from the cart? Did you?
No.
Did you tell her to do that?
No.
Okay. Did you train Sarah before she worked on Rust?
I did.
And you trained her in what? In gun safety or what?
Yeah, the basics of using blank adapted guns and blanks and dummy rounds on a set.
And I take it you never trained her to throw away dummy rounds after a scene.
Oh. Well, I don't recall that conversation or even indicating at what point you would want to throw away dummy rounds.
Because they're rented, right?
They are rented. Yep.
Okay. Now, you also gave Hannah shells on the Old Way movie, spent shells. Do you recall that?
Spent shells? No.
You didn't provide her 2 bags of spent shells?
No.
You knew that Joe Swanson loaded Trail Boss type powder. That's one of the powder he uses, correct?
Sometime after a meeting with Detective Hancock, trying to trace down the origin of the live rounds found on Rust, that was part of the questioning that I did call him and say, do you recall?
And don't get into what he said.
Okay.
But your impression after it was that your understanding is he loads Trail Boss powder.
Yes.
Okay. You also remember telling Detective Hancock after you called Troy Teskey that he was willing to provide a box and a half of reloads, the same batch from Joe Swanson?
I remember that conversation. I don't remember the quantity of which he was willing to provide.
Okay, so in any event, whatever the quantity was, you knew that Troy Teskey had rounds from the same batch of live reloads from Joe Swanson.
That's what I understood.
And you understood that he was willing to provide those, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I want to show you, sir, some of the pictures that have been introduced, and I want to go over these with you. First one, Mr. Kinney, is defendant's L18, and I want to show you.
I want to hear the too.
And then things changed.
I just shoot a lot, and I think the behind the scenes is really interesting, what's going on. So they're having a conversation about what's about to happen. And
Okay.
that's it.
Do you know
what this is in Ms. Gutierrez's hand?
It looks like the gun belt. I'm guessing for Alec
Okay.
or a bandolier, one of those.
Okay.
I see a gun in it.
All right. I'm going to zoom in on this photo.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yes.
When you look at, well, tell us what's in that gun belt.
Ammunition and a gun.
And do you notice anything about the center primers of the ammunition that's in that belt?
One is silver and quite different from the other 3, 4.
All right. And that was October 15th, you said, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'll pass the witness.
Cross exam.
Can I leave this here? And you can use it. You can set things on it if you want. Thank you.
Morning, Ms. Kuhn.
Good morning.
Is it true that you were budgeted for 5 days of work for the entire show?
Yes.
Okay. And were you ever tasked with taking any pictures of guns pointing into the camera?
Yes.
Who made you take pictures of guns pointing into the camera?
One of the junior producers, Ryan Smith, emphasized that I should get as many shots of guns pointed into the camera as possible.
Okay, so then you were told to do this on many occasions?
Maybe twice.
When
Well, let's leave it on for now that I've figured out what's going on. Ms. Popple, good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you for returning to answer some additional questions. I would like to show you a series of photographs, and I believe there is no objection to these photos.
Are they exhibits?
They are exhibits.
All right.
And the photos are going to be 166 through 173.
All right. There's no objection to their admission.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. They're admitted. You may publish.
Okay. Ms. Popple, do you see that photograph there that's on your screen and I'm showing you State's Exhibit 166?
Yes, I do.
What is that a photo of?
This is a photo of dummy rounds that were removed from a box that was located in the prop truck, and then they were laid out on brown paper and rephotographed.
And I'm going to show you what's already been
A box of live rounds that were collected from PDQ.
And is one of them dissimilar than the others?
Yeah, a silver primer.
6.
Yes, I do.
What is that a photo of?
This is a photo of dummy rounds that were removed from a silver primer.
Can you talk about this one over here?
Yes.
Oh. Same thing as this.
Was that the only live round with a silver primer that you found at PDQ?
No.
Oh,
I'm going to
that's a
show
live
you
round?
State's
That's
Exhibit
silver one, live round?
168. Tell us how this photograph relates to the previous photo, this one here, 167. What's 168?
These are those same rounds removed from the box and laid out.
Do you know which of these has the silver primer?
It would be one of the rounds that's by itself.
One of these over here?
Yes.
Okay. And in terms of the shape of the projectile, is the shape of the projectile similar to the live rounds that were found on the set of rest?
No.
Is the head stamp of the round, and in fact, let's move to State's Exhibit 169. Is that a close-up of that live round?
Yes.
Is the head stamp of this live round the same as the head stamp of the live rounds from the set of rest?
No.
State's Exhibit 170, what are we looking at here?
These were additional rounds that were located at PDQ that had silver and color primers.
And are the head stamps the same as the live rounds found on the set of rest?
No.
State's Exhibit 171, what's this?
This is a top view of those same live rounds located at PDQ with the silver primer.
Is the projectile shape the same as the live rounds that were found on the set of rest?
No.
That's it.
The live rounds with silver
So
primers
good.
that came from PDQ, how many did you find?
There were, I'm sorry, say that one more time.
How many live rounds at PDQ with silver primers did you discover and photograph?
10.
10 out of all of them?
Yes.
Okay. And have we looked at all of them this morning?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 172, what is this?
This is the outside of a ammunition box that was located in Lieutenant Benavides' vehicle.
And based on your experience in this case, do you know what kind of ammunition that box contained?
This contained blank rounds.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 173, what is this?
This is the outside of an ammunition box that was located on top of the cart.
And what kind of ammunition was inside this box?
There were blanks inside this box.
I'm going to show you what is previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 4. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
The box that we just looked at, can you tell us where it is on the cart?
Yes, it's off to the side.
Is it this one right here?
Yes, where your cursor is.
Okay, all right, thank you.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too. Don't spend another dime on Amazon.
I'll pass the witness.
Cross-exam.
Defense Q and ask if you recognize them. They're yellow and green. You see at the very top right. What are those things?
I'm not sure, some form of tool.
Did you inspect that tool at all to find out what it was?
I
Allen
believe
wrenches.
that Sergeant Zook assisted with that aspect.
Were there any rounds in this picture?
If you could move it up just because my portion has lettering underneath it.
Sure, yeah.
There were rounds on the table, yes.
So there is, and just to describe, there's rounds laying in a mix of all kinds of stuff. I don't even know what to call it. Is that clutter? Would that be a good word?
There were a large amount of items on the table.
Okay. What is the green cans? What are those?
I don't recall what the green cans were.
Okay. And what is that brown canister in the middle? Or whatever that is, a box?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Okay, I should point this thing right here.
Blood.
The black box that's there, I don't recall what it was.
Did you all pick up these and look under them? Pick up the clutter and look under it?
Yes, items were moved.
Okay. So if you found anything under it, can you tell us what that was?
Nothing located underneath it was collected by us.
Okay. What are those manuals in the top right? Did you look at those?
I don't recall what those manuals were.
Dry paper. So you can see.
Did you determine whether there was any equipment or other tools within the PDQ props?
Clear stuff.
If there were tools?
Equipment, first of all, like machines?
I don't recall there being machines. I mean, there were some miscellaneous tools.
Okay. Do you know what a reloading machine is?
I know what it is, yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you defendant's U. Again, I'm going to show you those items I was talking about, the yellow and green, and seeing those closer, does that refresh your memory as to whether you might have seen what those were?
It does not. I did not inspect those items personally.
Okay.
Allen wrenches.
Now, I'm going to show you again defendant's W. Do you remember seeing on any of these boxes that you looked through or inspected the JS initials?
Yes, multiple boxes had JS initials.
I'm going to show you defendant's V. Ma'am, what is this picture that we're looking at?
I don't recall exactly where this picture originated from.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right.
No. I'm sorry. Let me get my
look like sugar.
Let me get my question out.
Okay.
I want to have a discussion about how much was in the green part. And I want you to compare it to a sugar packet that you would open and put in coffee or tea. And can you describe, without making any assumptions about what it was, can you just describe what you saw in your hand?
Yes.
Go ahead and state your full name for the record.
Rebecca Smith.
And was that on the set of Rust?
Yes, ma'am. Was employed as Key Craft Services.
Was that on the set of Rust?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury what Key Craft Services does?
Key Craft Services is basically a set mom. I show up and make sure that coffee is ready for everybody, that everybody has snacks and hydration. If they run out of sunscreen, if they run out of chapstick, they come to me.
And what hotel were you staying at when you were working on the set of Rust?
The Inn at Santa Fe.
And was Ms. Gutierrez also staying there?
Yes, ma'am.
During the time that the two of you were both working on the set of Rust, did you get to know her?
Know her? No. I had a chance to sit with her once or twice, but not really get to know her.
Okay. Would you say she was more of an acquaintance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Ms. Smith, were you present at the hotel the evening of October 21st, 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point that evening, did you go to Ms. Gutierrez's hotel room?
Yes.
And why did you do that?
Court and I forget what his name was, but the set steward were in her hotel room and needed to go to the store to get something and did not want to leave her alone, so they called me and asked me to come up to her room.
Okay, and did you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you stay with Ms. Gutierrez for a little while?
Yes, ma'am.
And then at some point, did you leave?
Yes.
Did anything unusual happen when you left Ms. Gutierrez's room?
Yes. She asked me if I could hold on to something for her. I said yes. She put it in my hand, and I walked out as there was a knock on the door.
And after you left the room, did you look to see what she had placed in your hand?
Yes.
And can you describe, without making any assumptions about what it was, can you just describe what you saw in your hand?
Yes. It was a clear Ziploc baggie with a green small Ziploc baggie inside, and there was powder inside the green baggie.
What color was the powder?
White.
If I want you to compare this to like a sugar packet that you
It was definitely not sugar.
No. I'm sorry. Let me get my
look like sugar.
Let me get my question out.
Okay.
I want to have a discussion about how much was in the green part, and I want you to compare it to a sugar packet that you would open and put in coffee or tea.
Okay.
How many of those do you think it was?
Maybe 4 or 5.
Okay. And Ms. Smith, how old are you?
I'm 51.
And when you were a younger person, did you have an opportunity to use the drug cocaine?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a recovering addict.
Are you familiar with what cocaine looks like?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with the way that cocaine is packaged?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on that experience, what did you believe to be in the bag?
I believed it to be cocaine.
And what did you do with it?
I threw it in the hallway trash can before even going downstairs to my hotel room.
And why did you throw it in the hallway trash can?
Because, like I said, I am a recovering addict. I can't, first and foremost, have it in my possession. And second, I was really very offended, and I didn't want anything to do with the situation anymore.
Okay. After October 21st passes, did you receive any text message communications from Ms. Gutierrez?
Yes. Several.
And generally speaking, what was the theme of those messages?
I want my stuff back.
Other than the bag containing the green bag containing the white powder, other than that item, did you have anything else that belonged to Ms. Gutierrez?
No, ma'am.
You're the person with the gun. The person who would do anything to protect the ones you love. But did you know that you could go to...
Did you bring this information to the attention of law enforcement?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Like I said, I didn't want to be involved in the situation if I didn't have to be.
Okay. And how long after the incident do you think it was before someone reached out to you to talk to you about this?
I believe it was about September of 2023 when you contacted me about it.
And I personally called you?
Yes, ma'am. Texted, I believe it was.
Okay. And did you tell me on that day what you have testified to today?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Prosecutor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Smith, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, ma'am, that night when you went to Ms. Gutierrez Reed hotel room, you were called over and Ms. Gutierrez Reed was distraught, correct?
Yes.
Now, you were called over and there were, you could see she was visibly distraught, couldn't you?
Yes.
And didn't you say that you would stay with her that night and make sure she was okay?
I said I would stay with her for a little bit, yes, until court and the steward came back.
Okay. And at the time you left, had they gotten back?
No.
So before they got back, despite your word earlier, you left?
Yes.
Didn't Miss Gutierrez Reed also go to your room that night?
No.
Okay. Now, your testimony is that the last time you used cocaine was approximately 20 years old. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So that would have been, I think, 31 years ago?
Yes.
And since then, thankfully, you've been clean. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you have not seen that substance in 31 years. That's fair to say?
No, that's not fair to say.
Okay.
I have seen it, just not used it.
Okay. Now, you stated on direct examination that you believed it to be cocaine.
Yes.
And do you recall stating at one point that you said it could be cocaine or meth?
I don't recall saying that, no.
Okay, do you recall at your pretrial interview being asked the question, what was in those baggies? Inside the snack baggie was the green baggie. Inside the green baggie was a white powdery substance, which I knew to be cocaine, or I mean, it could have been meth or something too.
It could have.
Okay.
But I don't believe that it was, nor did I state that I believed it was. I just said that it could be.
And that was my question. I'm just asking if you said it could have been meth too.
Correct.
So, in reality, it could have been a number of other white powders. Would you agree with that?
Sure.
Do you know what creatine looks like?
No.
Protein powder?
Yes, because I work in craft services.
Okay. And we could go through a whole list of items, but there's a lot of white powdered sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
yes.
correct? Okay. So the reality is you have a belief, but you don't know for certain what was in that bag, do you?
Correct.
Now, that was never tested?
No.
And that was never provided to law enforcement?
No.
How long did you hold that baggie before you threw it in the trash?
I didn't make it all the way down the hallway.
So, how many feet do you think that was that you walked?
I don't even know how many feet the hallway is long, so
can you look at the courtroom and estimate, just telling us?
Possibly to the distance of the gentleman in the blue suit.
Okay, is he seated
right
at counsel
here,
table?
yes.
So, would you agree with me that's about 20, 25 feet?
Sure.
Okay. So you walked 20, 25 feet, and were you looking at that bag the whole time, or were you having it down by your side?
At first it was down by my side, and then I, of course, raised my hand to look.
Okay, now, weren't you walking past some police officers, too?
Men in uniform. Not sure whether they were police officers.
Well, what do the uniforms look like?
They could have been armed security. I did not see an actual badge, so I could not say for sure that they were police. They were men in uniform in either security or police.
Well, do you recall being asked the question, why didn't you just hand it back to her? And you said, because I didn't want to do anything in front of the police. Yeah. On page 19 of your interview?
Yes.
So at that time at your interview, you indicated they were police.
I indicated that I believed that they were police, yes.
No, you didn't say believe. You said, because I didn't want to do anything in front of the police. So were they police or not?
I don't know.
So you walk down 25 feet, you look up at it, and then you throw it in the trash. Is that right?
I looked at it and then waited for the trash can, of course. I didn't throw it on the floor or anything, so I did have to wait for the trash can to be there.
Sure. So you, in fairness, you probably had...
The grand opening celebration is on at your new local running store. Early bird gift card giveaways for the first 100 customers through the doors each day.
5 seconds to look at this bag. Is that about right?
Yes.
So you had a 5-second glance through a white baggie and a green baggie, and you then based your conclusion on that. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you also said that you thought this was about 4 to 5 sugar packets?
Correct.
Okay. Well, do you recall previously stating that you didn't know what the weight was?
Correct.
And do you recall indicating that it could be a couple of pounds?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, do you recall being asked question, so you have no experience with weight, and you testify, well, I don't know what it weighed. I mean, it could be an 8-ball, but I don't even know what an 8-ball weighs. So, I mean, that's like asking me how much this weighs. I don't know. It's a couple of pounds. You want to see this?
No, I don't need to see it. What I was referring to was a body armor that I had already opened and taken a couple of drinks of, and I held it up and said, I don't know what this weighs. Maybe a pound or 2. That was in reference to the body armor, not to the baggies.
Okay, well, in reality, in a 5-second glance, would you agree with me, you have no idea what the weight was?
Correct.
Okay. And you really, other than your guess, you have no idea for certain what was in that bag?
Correct.
Then may I just have one moment? Ma'am, last question. Do you recall in those text messages between you and Miss Gutierrez Reed, she at one point asked you back for her things? Plural?
Yes.
Okay. And so things is more than one, right?
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Redirect.
Ms. Smith, have you ever seen powdered sugar packaged like that?
Never.
Have you ever seen regular sugar packaged like that?
Never.
Have you seen cocaine packaged like that?
Yes.
You were asked some questions about your contact with Ms. Gutierrez inside the room. Did you, when you were in there, in Ms. Gutierrez's room visiting with her, did you speak with her?
Yes.
Did she mention to you that she was extremely worried about Ms. Hutchins and Ms. Hutchins' death?
No, ma'am.
What specifically did she say to you when you were in her room with regard to any concerns that she had?
She was concerned about her career. She was concerned about being prosecuted because somebody got shot.
All right. Nothing further. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. May I ask one more question?
Can we approach real quick?
Yes.
Gutierrez Reed that night that Helena had passed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Ma'am, you were the one that told Miss Gutierrez Reed that night that Helena had passed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Your excuse.
Thank you.
Next witness.
Oh, let's go.
Dude, do yourself a favor and get rid of those nasty holy underwear that you've been holding on to since high school.
Guns for the set of rust.
No.
208, and I don't believe there's an objection, and I
Full empty, or that I would be confident enough to.
Okay. Not certification, but you did have her on your paperwork.
Correct.
Okay.
asked some questions about how many times you called Detective Hancock. Why did you call her so many times?
just to aid in the investigation, whatever she needed, or if I found something that I thought she...
Okay. But in any event, you told her that she should just move on. You also remember telling Detective Hancock after you called Troy Teskey that he was willing to provide a box and a half of reloads, the same batch from Joe Swanson?
I remember that conversation.
Something that you would commonly do is store this live ammo in the bathroom?
No, not commonly. It was just short on time and offloading the Sprinter, and got to put it somewhere quick and get back to Texas or California or whatever it might be.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Kinney, then I want to show you if you recognize Defendant's L35. That's a box that says 45LC. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
That is a box that that I populated with Thale Reed's 1883 Cowboy Training Camp live ammo.
Okay, now on that particular box itself, it's not marked live, is it?
No.
Okay. And so the rounds around it and in the box, do you know if these loose rounds are live?
I would assume that they are live.
Okay. Do you recall what Defendant's L40 is?
No, the Thale Reed's green ammo box.
Okay. And that was found in PDQ props?
Correct.
Yes, sir. Then I want to show you earlier, this is Defendant's L43. Earlier you talked about this photo. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I think you said that this was the dummies you had provided, correct?
Yeah, before polishing and populating in the white box provided to Sarah Zachary, yes.
Okay. Now, as you look at this photo, this round up here, isn't that a blank?
Yeah, that's a spent blank.
And then how about this round right here? Right where I'm pointing here.
That's another spent blank.
Okay. So this was not all dummies. This also had spent blanks in it.
Correct.
Okay. Now the sheriffs did not seize this. They did not seize these at the time of the search. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. I want to show you Defendant's D. And if you tell jury what this is?
That's a maintenance bench.
A bench to do what?
Maintenance of firearms.
Okay. So this is where you maintain the firearms?
Yeah, there's gloves there, and you have some cleaning products. That would be one of them, yes.
What are these rounds down here? They look like shotgun shells, but what are these?
From memory, that was a project on a previous film.
Okay, and then you have rounds in the back here. Do you know what those are?
I can't see.
It's hard to see.
Okay, I see dummy blanks. Shall I circle it?
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Right there. Yep. It says 45 ACP dummy blanks.
Now, when you say dummy blanks, is that another type of round, or are there dummies and blanks?
Instead of chambering a dummy round, it's better to chamber a dummy blank in inner one-piece extrusion, and it's a safer way of doing it. If we have call at some point in the action where somebody needs to chamber a round that is inert. Dummy rounds are problematic in semi-automatic and automatic firearms, and if upon repeated chambering, the components can come loose. So Joe Swanson came up with this invention, which is a dummy blank.
Dummy blank, okay. And what is these tools in the back? The yellow and green?
One is an Allen wrench set. The green one is a Torx set.
And what do you use those for?
Again, it would just be the yellow handled ones are used commonly to attenuate the flash of semi-automatic and fully automatic weapons.
Defendant's BB, what is that equipment or device right here?
Those are a pair of vices, small vices.
Is that your gun maintenance table as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, defendant's S, is this, you recognize that?
I do.
And is this your box as well?
It is.
Are those live rounds?
Yes. Well, the box, I remember writing 45 long Colt and thinking, this is odd not to write dummy or blanks or specify what it is. It's 45 long Colt because it's 45 long Colt live. And I don't need to write live, it's just live.
45 long Colt, okay.
Yeah.
And defendant's V, can you tell the jury what that is?
Those are Joe Swanson blanks.
Okay. Defendant's AA, again, we have those Mauser boxes at the top of that font, and that's a Joe Swanson font, is that right?
Those are definitely Joe Swanson boxes and fonts.
Okay.
That I commonly see from him.
Okay. This is defendant's Y, and again, let me show you the overall picture. But you see that?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the jury what that is?
That's that same wooden shelf holding blank rounds.
Okay, and again, we have at the top these 300 blackout. Is that the Joe Swanson font?
It is.
Okay. And you see some of these boxes, they got the JS, like on the 9mm.
I see that, yes.
Okay. That's what I was noticing before, but you said there on some of them and some of them.
I commonly, I notice, bless you, I see the JS, but if it's omitted, it's not, it's just not something I notice.
Okay, and I want to show you defendant's X now. What is this picture?
That's that same wooden shelf.
Okay. And defendant's W. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, that's the top of the black bookshelf that's adjacent to the wooden cabinet.
Okay, defendant's Z. Can you tell us what that is?
Same wooden shelf.
Okay. What are the rounds on the right in this bin here?
Those are small bags of 25, more than likely it's 25 ACP and 32 ACP bags of blanks.
Okay. Defendant's U, again, these tools.
It's the same Allen wrench set and Torx wrench on top of the maintenance table.
Okay, defendant CC. You see that?
I do.
And this box over here, is that a Joe Swanson?
It is.
Okay. And these spent shells, what are those? What caliber?
I can't tell from this photo.
Okay. Do you know what these spent shells were doing here?
I don't recall.
Those are the kind of thing that can be reloaded, correct?
Yeah, unless a case is torn or it's become brittle and started to fracture, you can reload it.
This is defendant's T, and that's is this the live ammo from 1883? That box?
It is.
Okay. Now I want to show you defendant's N27, and I'm going to show you that upright, but then I'm going to turn it around. Is that your writing on the blue box?
It is.
Okay. And defendant's N29, is that same box?
It is. It's one side or the other. Because, yeah, both have a label just like that.
Okay.
Both ends.
Okay. Now, a couple more questions on the prop truck that I forgot to ask you. When you were going there, do you recall telling Sarah to put a piece of tape over the safe?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the purpose of that?
Well, I wanted to make sure that nobody got into the safe before the law enforcement showed up.
One last series of questions on the disagreement that Hannah and Sarah had, you were talking about earlier, and that was over the negligent discharge, or accidental discharge you called it?
Accidental discharge, yes.
Okay, sir, do you recall telling Hannah that Sarah was her boss and not to push it?
Yes.
And you were basically telling her to back off, reporting anything? Shoot, I'm sorry, jeez. Sorry, Judge. Siri picked up this thing. Do you recall telling Hannah something like to back off because...
What up, Robin? My bad. I honestly forgot I was streaming, bro. I was streaming. Dude, the song for Open Hell. I used to listen to the song often. I didn't listen to it. The song was on the radio. Bro, when I was working, fucking 50 hours a week, this song was playing every 30 minutes. 6 years ago. That's
all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh,
I can't play it though. Yeah, I haven't been wearing a headset, so it's probably echoing. Oh, I just noticed that it probably was echoing though. I didn't mute the mic. The echoing. So I'm playing it. I was about to end live, but just didn't mute my mic. Actually not. I was gonna see if anyone mute myself and watch this.
She wanted to report to production.
If anyone comes in here, tell them that I'm not
It wasn't that she wanted to report it to production because Sarah had already reported it herself. That was the issue.
Okay. But in any event, you told her that she should just move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Your Honor, may I have just one moment? Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor.
I read what I said before I knew I was muted. I read your said about Alec Baldwin. But I'm just trying to figure out if it's his fault. People they bought the ammo from, Alec Baldwin, who's out, and honestly, it seems like it's all their fault. It's kind of sketchy. This bitch was doing cocaine, supposed to be loading guns. The other dude is so unorganized with all his ammo, and he's got dummy blanks, 5 rounds everywhere. Alec Baldwin is Alec Baldwin and crazy, and he was arguing with the director. The whole thing's a shit show.
Mr. Kenny, is it your testimony that the 45 caliber live rounds at PDQ were reloads?
That's what I like listening to, long form content.
To my knowledge, yes.
And did any
Alright, I'm gonna
of
mute my mic.
those
Wait, was it?
live
Let me
rounds that were taken from PDQ have the same projectile
Yeah, it's actually.
shape
Let me mute it.
as the projectile on the live rounds from the set of Rust?
No.
You spoke to Mr. Bowles. You indicated that you had of the live rounds that you took.
Oh my god, I'm talking when I'm muted the whole time. I don't know if you were here. Back then, I was going here. This is the lady. She gave the cocaine bag to watch. Guy. It. His shit's all messy and shit. Hannah used to look like. Hannah looks like a model inside that fucking courtroom. See what she used to look like? What she looks like inside. Got arrested. Was hell. Right? On. Then Alec Baldwin. His ass is fucking crazy as fuck. There's no sympathy. Or direct. I don't know. These two look guilty as fuck, though. I think these two are obviously the guy that supplied the ammo. Even if he gave them live rounds, your job is supposed to make sure that everything is going right. Alec Baldwin's armor said.
Primarily, these are going to be live. I'm going to say 90%. There's also the possibility that there are other things in there that are inert or replicas.
Okay, let me show you Defendant's L10 now. And if you can describe, what room is this in PDQ?
That would be the coffee room.
Okay. And that's the coffee room. Now, is there any ammunition stored in the coffee room?
No.
Okay.
The fuck is the coffee room?
I want to show you now L32.
I want to get my
Can you tell
headphones so I
Drew
don't
what
have to
this picture is?
That is the bathroom with
How bad
blanks,
does that go?
and appears to be at
I'll
the
get my
very
headphones
bottom is indicated live ammo of the gray bins.
Actually, I can't.
And so you've got live ammo, and then on top of that, do you have blanks or dummies?
Those are all blanks.
I'll charge it. I'll charge it.
So you've got them, I mean, not in the same container in this picture, but you've got them all stacked up on each other, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is that something that you would commonly do, is store this live ammo in the bathroom?
No, not commonly. It was just short on time and offloading the Sprinter, and got to put it somewhere quick and get back to Texas or California or whatever it might be.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Kinney, then I want to show you if you recognize Defendant's L35. That's a box that says 45LC. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
That is a box that that I populated with Thale Reed's 1883 Cowboy Training Camp live ammo.
Okay, now on that particular box itself, it's not marked live, is it?
No.
Okay. And So the rounds around it and in the box, do you know if these loose rounds are live?
I would assume that they are live.
Okay. Do you recall what defendant's L40 is?
No, the Stale Reed's green ammo box.
Okay. And that was found in PDQ props?
Correct.
Yes, sir. Then I want to show you earlier, this is defendant's L43. Earlier, you talked about this photo. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I think you said that this was the dummies you had provided, correct?
Yeah, before polishing and populating in the white box provided to Sarah Zachary. Yes.
Okay. Now, as you
We
look
see
at
the
this
two
photo,
blanks
this
that are
round
spent.
up here, isn't that a
shot.
blank?
Yeah, that's a spent blank.
And then how about this round right here? Right where I'm pointing here.
That's another spent blank.
Okay. So this was not all dummies. This
I can't wait to get back to where I
had
was.
spent blanks in it.
Correct.
Okay. Now the sheriffs did not seize this. They did not seize these at the time of the search. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Extrusion, and it's instead of chambering a dummy round, it's better to chamber a dummy blank and inert one-piece extrusion, and it's a safer way of doing it. If we have a call at some point in the action where somebody needs to chamber a round that is inert. Dummy rounds are problematic in semi-automatic and automatic firearms, and if upon repeated chambering, the components can come loose. So Joe Swanson came up with this invention, which is a dummy blank.
Dummy blank, okay. And what is these tools in the back? The yellow and green?
One is an Allen wrench set.
Bro, this dude is so obsessed with these fucking Allen keys.
Set.
It's been pissing me
What
the
do
fuck
you
off.
use those for?
How does he not know what those are?
Again, it would just be
They're fucking Allen
the
keys, bro.
yellow-handled ones are used commonly to attenuate the flash of semi-automatic and fully automatic weapons.
Tools.
Defendant's BB. What is that equipment or device right here?
Those are a pair of vices, small vices.
Is that your gun maintenance table as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, defendant's S, is this, you recognize that?
I do.
And is this your box as well?
It is.
Are those live rounds?
Yes. Well, the box, I remember writing 45 long Colt and thinking, this is odd not to write dummy or blanks or specify what it is. It's 45 long Colt because it's 45 long Colt live. And I don't need to write live, it's just live.
45 long Colt, okay.
Yeah.
And defendant's V, can you tell the jury what that is?
Those are Joe Swanson blanks.
Joe Swanson is the guy he buys his ammo.
Again, we have those
his
Mauser
blank
boxes at the top of that font, and that's a Joe Swanson font, is that right?
Those are definitely Joe Swanson boxes and fonts.
Fast forward it, I think we're a little bit past. I remember seeing the 300 blackout ammo, I remember seeing the 12 gauge. Talks about the fucking Allen keys
wrench
again.
set and Torx wrench.
Is that a Joe Swanson?
Then he talks about how they have fucking casings right there.
You know,
who fucking cares?
Show you the box.
It is.
Okay.
It just
You're right. I gotta hear the question.
One last series of questions on the disagreement that Hannah and Sarah had, you were talking about earlier, and that was over the negligent discharge or accidental discharge.
I was somewhere right here.
Accidental discharge.
This is where I was.
Okay, sir. Do you recall telling Hannah that Sarah was her boss and not to push it?
Yes.
And you were basically telling her to back off, reporting anything? Shoot, I'm sorry. Jeez. Sorry, Judge. Siri picked up this thing. Do you recall telling Hannah something like, to back off because she wanted to report to production?
It wasn't that she wanted to report it to production because Sarah had already reported it herself. That was the issue.
Okay. But in any event, you told her that she should just move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Your Honor, may I have just one moment? Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Kenny, is it your testimony that the .45 caliber live rounds at PDQ were reloads?
To my knowledge, yes.
And did any of those live rounds that were taken from PDQ have the same projectile shape as the projectile on the live rounds from the set of Rust?
No.
You spoke to Mr. Bowles. You indicated that
that's the prosecution. She's on his side.
Of the live rounds that you took to the set of 1883, there were three projectile types. Is that correct?
It is.
Did all three of those types come back to PDQ?
Once we were I'm unaware because once we were done with the cowboy training camp, I never went into that box again, or even the smaller white boxes, into the gray bin or the smaller white boxes. So I didn't take an inventory after we were done.
And the gray bin that you had marked live ammo, was all of the live ammo that you had at PDQ inside that bin?
Yes. What? Excuse me.
I'll be able to
live
read chat
ammo
now.
from 1883 was in that gray bin. There was self-defense rounds elsewhere within PDQ that were live. Not
And-
45 long Colt though.
That's what I was going to ask. What caliber was your self-defense rounds?
357, 38 special, and 300 blackout.
Okay.
And Garcia, right? Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to blame her, bro. I think I don't know. She changed her hair. I don't think any had something to do with it. I don't know. There's something weird about Hollywood, bro. They're all like, they all know each other and they're all connected. Alec Baldwin says, guy that Seth Kennedy, he hates this girl. Alec Baldwin hates the director. It's just weird. She changed her hair and her whole style. It's all weird. Just had a turkey club with I haven't had cold meat. I kind of want to get a Subway.
Approximately how many firearms does PDQ own?
Hundreds.
Do you keep all of them at the Albuquerque location?
No.
Do you have another location?
I do.
Where's that?
It's in Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
You were asked a series of questions about primed cases. Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
What is exactly a primed case?
The primed case is a case, could be a shotgun shell with just a primer, but we differentiate a prime case from a blank in that there's no additional charge of gunpowder to make a report, a noise, a bang, or a puff of smoke. And so it's a good training tool. It's a loud cap gun when it goes off. It helps initiate action on a set where there needs to be choreography of movement. And if you add talcum powder, it provides a bit of a puff to it.
So a primed case is just simply an empty brass. I'm going to suggest brass. I know it doesn't have to be brass.
But yeah, I don't think
shell casing with a live primer. Is that right?
That's correct.
But it has no gunpowder.
No gunpowder.
And it has no projectile.
Definitely not. That would be a live round.
Can a primed case kill someone?
It can lead. Yes, it can. In a number of different ways.
How would that happen?
Well, in the Brandon Lee situation, a prime case initiation of the primer was enough to deliver the bullet, the projectile, into the barrel, causing what's called a squib load. And in that instance, what happened is
the gun will blow up in
the
your
prop
hand.
crew was unaware of what had happened. They emptied what were supposed to be dummy rounds, and they were not, because the live primer thus makes them something other than.
But let me ask you this. In order for a primed case to hurt someone in the manner that you're describing, such as the incident with Brandon Lee, there has to be a projectile somewhere, right?
Yes.
And in that case, there was a projectile lodged in the barrel of the gun.
Correct.
Okay. But the primed case itself, just the empty casing and the live primer, that's not going to kill anybody.
Highly doubtful that
Right.
it would. Cause injury, yes.
Okay. You said that it sounds like a loud pop gun.
It sounds like a loud cap gun.
Cap gun, I'm sorry. Because the primer has a small amount of explosive substance, and it's that lights the gunpowder that emits the projectile, correct?
That's correct.
Really need it. Let me turn this up. Get whatever juice I have out of them, just so I can.
Were all of your 45
Yes, sir. I can
bullet
tell.
caliber live rounds that you had at PDQ, were they all taken by the Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
Oh, bitch.
You were asked some questions about Starline brass casings. Is Starline brass a very common casing?
It's one of the primary sources of cases for Joe Swanson.
Yeah, can you hear me?
But I've come to learn that even the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department uses it as one of their duty ammos.
I ain't paying me. I told him just to give me a little something.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the package that you received from Ms. Gutierrez after she finished her work on the old way. You indicated that there were some leather belts, but you didn't inventory those.
Correct.
Did you notice, were there
Oh no, he's unblocked.
appearing to be dummy rounds in those
Next time he
leather
says hi in
belts?
here,
Yes.
Did you inventory those?
I did not.
I think I
Were
said that
those your
last time, and
property?
then he stopped
No.
saying something. I think I gotta block him.
When you received the package from Ms.
Illegal pot
Gutierrez,
shops
did
opening
it
up
also
In New York, the state's
include
governor is hoping to cut
know
down
my
on illegal
ADD's
pot
on.
shops in the state. New York has struggled to control the expansion of illegal pot shops, which don't contribute to the marijuana sales tax since recreational use became legal 3 years ago. The governor is also asking social media companies like Google and Yelp to exclude illegal cannabis shops from their search results to protect the livelihoods of legitimate business owners.
Don't nobody want that dry old CBD Delta 8. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that what they're talking about? That's not even. New
York has struggled to control the
legitimate pot.
firearms?
Not in the
He's
box with
autistic?
the
Yeah, no.
with the gun leather. There were at least
No,
there was at
doctors
least
don't-
one replica firearm within that box. In separate
Doctors
cases,
use
I believe there are probably 2 Pelican type hardened cases that contain firearms as well as other replicas, and
retardation.
but the box just containing the leather did not have firearms in it.
But you did receive a box from Ms. Gutierrez that she shipped to you from Montana that contained firearms, is that right?
Correct, yes.
And those were shipped to you because they were your firearms, right?
Some of them were, yes. Some of them were also thales.
Okay. When you received the box that contained the firearms, was there anything concerning about the state they were in?
Yes. The primary concern is that some of them were loaded.
Maybe approach.
Wait. This is big. What happened?
Because that contained firearms, Ms. Gutierrez
Did not have firearms in it.
But you did receive a box from Ms. Gutierrez that she shipped to
He received a box from Miss.
you from Montana that contained firearms, is that right?
Correct, yes.
And those were shipped to you because they were your firearms, right?
Some of them were, yes. Some of them were also thales.
Okay. When you received the box that contained the firearms, was there anything concerning about the state they were in?
Yes. The primary concern is that some of them were loaded.
Maybe approach.
Some of them were loaded. Going to jail. Bro, I'm sorry. Unless this guy's just literally a bullshitter. If she's sending back guns that are loaded, bro, he's a fucking retard. But Alec Ball. I blame him 50%. I blame Hannah. When I blame, well, these guys are shiesty though. I gotta give these guys 30%. Seth and Hannah are a little shiesty. I sued. Seth didn't. Assistant director. The assistant director got shot. The director got shot, and the assistant director got shot. The girl that recorded it is the director, right? And then the guy behind her got shot. No, oh, not Dave Hall. It's the other guy, Joey. What's his name? Joey? Started with a J. Rust.
Mr. Kinney, you said that some of the guns were loaded.
Yes.
What were they loaded with?
What I found out that they were loaded with dummy rounds in the end.
And why was that concerning to you that the guns have been shipped to you loaded with dummy rounds? So whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay.
What was his role? Why was he next to Hannah?
Well, because the assumption is that...
What the fuck is her name? Helena.
Is that, one, guns are always loaded unless you verify that they are not, and two, that rounds...
That was important. His testimony he's giving off is crazy. He just said she shipped guns loaded. That's if I was on the jury, I'd be like, oh, whoa. We need a sidebar right now. All right, so well, got shot in the shoulder. Thought he was the assistant director. What the fuck is he? Oh, he said, wait. He's the producer. The director. He's the director. He's the assistant director. Director has a wife. The director. Yeah, he's basically a director. Wait. The director. The director has a wife and 2 children. This is the director, bro. He's the assistant director. Dave Halls is Dave Halls is the actor. Dave Halls is an actor. Oh, assistant director. Oh, he is. But he's sentenced? Oh, probate. They're all about it. He's about to get 3 years. What did he do? This guy do? Being a director? What the fuck did he do? I don't know, because I don't... That sucks. They didn't talk about this guy. Watch the whole... They did talk about Halls. They talked about it. But they didn't say he did anything. I think it's because he already got charged. Oh, no, here it is. David Hall testified.
We're anesthesiologists, surgeons,
I'm an idiot.
Emergency medicine physicians.
From him, I was a body width to what would be his left. And Miss Gutierrez appeared on my left-hand side with the revolver, and she said, let's do the gun check.
So both of these testimonies that we're about to watch, pretty bad. This one's crazy. He just said, this guy, blaming on her. He served 6.
She opened up the latch to show the drum of the revolver. She rotated the cylinder. It was empty. Checked the barrel. It was what is referred to as a cold gun. And Ms. Gutierrez just took a few steps and gave the gun to Mr. Waldman.
Now, it's your recollection at that point in time that the gun was empty, it did not have dummies in it?
Absolutely, it was empty.
Okay. And you looked at it, correct?
I looked at it, yes.
Now, let me stop for a moment. were there any opportunity, at any point in time during that day, did you sit in for Mr. Baldwin?
I did.
When was that?
After lunch.
Okay. And when you sat in for Mr. Baldwin, was the firearm in the church?
No.
Okay. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? Why are you sitting in for him? Explain to the jury how that happens.
Well, usually there is a stand-in for the actor, a person, and most times it's a person that matches the height and hair color, look of the actor. There was a stand-in for Mr. Baldwin, and when I entered the church after lunch, the stand-in for Mr. Baldwin was there, and because of COVID,
I feel like the jury's gonna say not guilty. Like if she looked like she did on the day of Rust, guilty. So if the people that know the real, unless they got some good evidence so far, not like out. I still think 30-30.
but I wanted to keep the amount of people in the church.
If she's guilty.
And I typically do that anyway, outside of the pandemic, before
Which the jury might realize that too. They might look at the timesheet and be like, what? That's it? Of course I'm going to write guilty. The only person possibly responsible for
it. Just in smaller spaces, I would try to keep. What I usually say is, if you don't have to be there, please don't. So
there's no one else going to
because
court.
of COVID and just generally,
everyone bailed out already. Didn't Baldwin? He already accepted his court. He pleaded. Baldwin guilty. This guy that we're watching, last person. Sarah got sued, millions of dollars. She paid medic. Medic was traumatized or some shit.
I'd like to keep only the people that are needed for the shot there. I said, his name was Bill. I said, Bill, it's okay.
I did make a my first initial until I seen her. But my first initial.
I can sit in for
I did make
for
a video
Alec.
that said that.
And
I realized
and it was a good opportunity. Just as if I'm sitting in the pew right now, I can observe everything, the crew preparing.
The thing is, she's the armorer. Dig deep down to, I guess the actor. Comments. Alec Baldwin can't open it. Can't open it. No actors all. So he probably wouldn't notice it. Yeah. And then Alec Baldwin said the gun went off. I don't know. That's kind of... But anyways, unless it's some crazy shit where I'll be crying though. Unless she really know your gun. I didn't put no. I'll be crying. It fucking set me up. Alec Baldwin put that. Nature, every testify. Or I'll go on stand. They can ask me all. Don't you tell the truth? That's why I just don't understand. Real big. A little bit. Right on that. I wasn't guilty.
And that's what I did.
Did you need to have a firearm?
Once
at
the
that
jury
point in
sees
time?
that you go on that stand there.
Did you have a firearm at that
No,
point
I
in
did
time?
not.
Were you using anything to mimic a firearm?
I recall holding up my hand like this to figure.
Just so that they could set up the shot?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Oh well. It's because
after
someone said
the
my
setting
mic
up
was loud
of the
and I
shot,
turned it
after
off.
you sitting in for Mr. Baldwin,
This is how it usually is. Someone said it was
just to be
loud, so
clear,
I
it's
turned
your
it down.
recollection that Mr. Baldwin came in and Ms.
Dude,
Gutierrez
this storm
came
is
in
so bad.
around
There's
the same
fucking
time.
thunderstorms.
Okay. She does the gun check with you. You see an empty gun. To your recollection, Ms. Gutierrez hands the gun to Mr. Baldwin. Is that right?
That's correct.
What happens after that? How do we end up with a gun that is no longer empty?
I did not see the gun taken away from Mr. Baldwin. I'm still in the same position, facing him, body width to his left, no more than 5 feet in front of him. You know, as an assistant director, you're looking around, you're observing, you're communicating with people. I did not see Ms. Gutierrez take the gun from Mr. Baldwin, but she appeared back on my left-hand side, and she said that she had put dummy rounds into the revolver.
And at that point in time, was another safety check done?
She opened up the latch to the revolver.
No, I'm not. I know who. Bro, I've been watching this case for so long. The guy who put the fucking rounds on the fucking set is this motherfucker. What do you mean? He's the one that provided them. He's the one that he didn't go on set, but they picked him, the people, Hannah and Sarah grabbed his bullets and gave them to Hannah, and they used those bullets for the movie. This is the guy. This will be up next. We already watched fucking 7 hours of his testimony. This guy's crazy. He was like coked up. He's smart, bro. He's smart. He's very smart. He choked up a little bit. He's choking up at the end, but he's very smart. Like, it's hard to crack him. Oh, you're talking about a random guy. You're coming up with an actual. It's basically a conspiracy theory. Someone placed the rounds on set. You're saying someone placed the rounds on set and you're trying to find them. Okay. I thought you were talking about the actual case. This is the guy that actually gave the bullets. He brung the bullets. Hannah didn't check them. Alec Baldwin wanted to kill the director, so he either put a bullet in there or he grabbed one of Hannah's bullets they were either working together or he didn't know and he just has no empathy for her life and he just killed Hannah. Or not Hannah, I keep calling her Hannah. He killed the director and then Hannah is ultimately the one that put the bullet in there, knew about it, thought something else was going to happen, didn't happen, but still, she's not going to say it happened. Alec Baldwin either put the bullet in there. So it's one of them two. I don't believe this guy. I think he is having a fucking panic attack, and he has so much fucking weapons because he has fucking machine guns, automatic. I know what it's like to have guns. But this guy has machine guns, everything, weapons, automatic, ammo, all types of shit, props, everything. So he's just scared shitless that he's just, they're gonna pin it on him. So he's basically having a big panic attack. So anytime he seems nervous, I feel like I can feel for him because he has all these weapons and no one really understands like anything about him. And he explains it very well. And how she was basically very poor handling guns. This girl, Hannah, was. But when I first watched this thing, I felt like Alec Baldwin was the one that was responsible and evil because, you know, the reasons that I said back then, but now I feel like it was both of them, Hannah and Baldwin. And really no one else. This guy's just fucking paranoid, I feel like. And Hannah paid $42 million, which I don't understand. That's what I don't understand. Is it his money from his company? Because she doesn't look like she can pay the money. She's coming up on the stand pretty soon. Later on, she's just wondering. This is Hannah, so we're gonna watch her testimony in a second. I might not. I don't really want to watch Steve. He's kind of boring. I'll watch him later.
Are live unless you validate that they are dummy rounds, and the fact that that a couple, I believe it was from memory, a couple of revolvers were loaded with rounds.
All right, I'll watch that in a second.
I have to assume these are live rounds until I validate that each and every one of the rounds are dummy rounds and that the guns are completely empty. So there was some sweaty palms that moment.
Okay. I'm going to shift gears here. I'm going to show you what is already in evidence.
You gotta watch the court cases though, because you gotta go with what's real life. Who's gonna get charged? Who's gonna actually go to jail?
I want you to have a look at this photo and tell me if the
But
projectile shapes that you described to Mr. Bowles are present in this photo.
Like crayons.
It looks 99% are semi-wad cutter bullets. There's an oddball right in the middle of the photo.
Where can you use your screen? Oh, that's the oddball. Okay, sure.
Yeah, that has a projectile that I don't remember seeing. It's neither a semi-wad. They probably would consider that some variation of a wad cutter, but it almost looks like a truncated cone type projectile.
Okay, and truncated cones were one of the projectiles that you recall from 1883, correct?
Yeah, the cowboy training camp.
All
Yes.
right. I'm going to show you what's already in evidence. The State's Exhibit 171. How would you describe those?
That's another variation of a.
Why did these bullets look so shitty?
Okay. Would you consider that a truncated cone?
No.
All right. I'm going to show you what is already in evidence as State's Exhibit 57. Would these be a primed case?
Well, I can't see what's on the opposite end away from the nickel primer. Is there a projectile on the end?
For the purposes of this question, let's assume that there is no gunpowder in those casings and there is no projectile at the other end.
Yeah, I would call these a spent case because the primers have been hit. But at the same time, we have to assume that any primer is potentially live, even though it's been struck, because it could be a hard primer. But commonly, if somebody, the layman took a look at this picture and said, well, what is that? I would say a spent case, casually. But I would not make a dummy round out of that.
Sure. In order for a primed case to be a primed case, it has to have
a new primer.
An unstruck primer, correct?
Yes, and we assume that it's not an inert primed case. If we're saying we need to initiate some kind of action with the least amount of noise, I would call up Joe Swanson and say, I need a box of 50 prime cases.
Okay. But those don't appear to be that to you, do they?
They don't. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. It could be in the providing weapons and blanks and dummy rounds to production for film. I don't know what that is. I mean, casually, I would say if I was just a shooter out there, I would say, no, it's a spent case.
Right. It looks like a spent casing.
Yeah.
All of the dummies that you provided to the set of Rust, the 45 long Colt dummies that came directly from you, did all of them rattle?
She knows she's on camera.
Did you
Look at her
provide
angles.
any
She's doing it perfect.
dummy rounds to the set of Rust that did not rattle?
I did.
Which ones were those?
Those were the 44 Henry.
It doesn't matter. No one's really going to be found guilty more than
rounds.
3 years.
Those are completely different looking than any of the 45 long Colt dummies, correct?
Correct. They haven't made 44 Henry since the pre-1900.
So the 44 Henrys, how do you know that those are dummies?
Well, they don't make them anymore, and
How do you know they're dummies? If they don't rattle.
it's a problem. You assume that they're live. Then
Is there a hole in the side? How do you know it's a dummy?
you don't. That's a problem.
There's no hole in the side.
There's no hole in the side.
Do you know whether or not, did you say they were 4470s?
44 Henry.
44 Henry. Do you know whether any of the 44 Henrys were ever even used on the set of Rust?
No.
You don't know?
No. And to be clear, the 44 Henrys don't have a traditional primer. You cannot reload them. They're like a 22 rimfire. It's the same thing. It's just an oversized version of that.
All right. You were asked some questions about how many times.
Oh, so
you
they're
called
flat.
Detective
They're
Hancock.
flat. They don't have like
Why
a
did you call
circle.
her so many times?
Just to aid in the investigation.
Yeah, this guy knows a lot about guns.
I thought she
Seriously.
might want to see, or
Because I know a lot about
if I had
guns.
any questions.
And this guy's like overkill.
It
He's
was
an
routine for
FFL
us
holder,
to,
meaning the government
communication.
is in your ass. If you own belt machine
You
guns,
made a
best
statement
believe the
on
government is watching you.
cross-examination, that you didn't want to work. I think it was in a text message, maybe.
So
that
this guy
you
has to be
didn't wanna
squeaky
work
clean.
With Ms. Gutierrez in the future, is that correct? Do you recall making that statement?
That's why he's so
Okay.
fucking nervous.
Why didn't you want to work with her in the future?
And he's being sued.
Well, the issue of loading a full load blank with a horse in the vicinity is a huge violation of an armorer's work.
So why don't you explain to the jury what you're talking about? Because I don't think that we've addressed that issue yet. Was there an issue that came to your attention with regard to the set animals and a full load blank?
Yeah, because they could take his license away.
Several days prior, and
Regardless,
I don't know
if he blames it on
exactly
Hannah
when
and does
it
whatever,
happened. Sarah Zachary,
his own life, he can get all his guns taken away.
Called to discuss a number of things, including her concern.
And I'm gonna stop you right there.
Oh,
I got it.
Yep.
Don't go on the sidebar.
Did you receive information?
This is the only trial I watched to where when they call for objections, they're going sidebar every time. They can't just object it and say what it is, hearsay it and then just overrule. The judge is not doing anything, and in like these cases, I don't know what's going on.
There's an issue with
It's an Asian judge. I haven't even seen her. I've seen her like twice.
Yes.
Okay, stop there.
Is it because it's so cordial? I don't understand.
Generally speaking, explain to the
I
jury
don't want defense lawyers that are not objecting.
what types of blanks are to be used around animals, what types are not, and why, having nothing to do with what happened on Rust.
In general, we have several iterations of blank loads, and the idea is that we always want to use the least amount of noise and gunpowder for the effect necessary. And so if ultimately we could get away with using nothing but a prime case, that would be ideal.
Sir, in terms of blanks, what are the appropriate size blanks to use around horses on
I've seen this lawyer before.
Horses and kids, no greater than one
on another
quarter
case.
load.
Or this prosecutor,
So
she's
is
good.
there a blank load that is less than a 1/4 load?
Even though I hate
1/8
prosecutors.
as well, yes.
Okay. Why is it not advisable to use full load blanks around set animals?
Well, it's frankly, it's considered animal cruelty.
May we approach?
Full load blanks. Because it's so loud. Did you hear him? That's why he was like, may we approach? Because I'm guessing what happened is Hannah had some full loaded blanks. Because why would the defense attorney go out there and be all mad and approach? Hannah must have had something with fully loaded blank.
Making dummy rounds into live rounds. Do you recall those questions from Mr. Bowles?
I do.
So it sounds like that would be a bit of a complicated process. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the opposite. Would it be considerably easier to turn a live round into a dummy?
It would be not. It would be. It's not the ideal situation, again, especially if we're talking about...
I'm not asking what's ideal. I'm asking, would it be easier?
There's one less step. Well, no. Actually, we're excluding... You'd have to press out the primer. It's less complicated.
So, if one were to try to turn live rounds into dummy rounds...
No. It's just to show the defense lawyer needs to be like, because they're trying to characterize that as a bad thing. Like, that's a bad thing. So his defense lawyer is like, no, because I don't know. Maybe she had some full reloaded blanks or something. I don't know. I don't know yet.
Special equipment.
They would need full reloading.
I'm just asking you if they would need...
Because it's all about character. It's not... I mean, they do look at evidence at the end of the day, but they look at character and stuff too.
Special equipment.
Yes.
Is one of the pieces of equipment that they might need an inertia
So the
puller.
defense has to make sure her character doesn't get
Bullet
destroyed.
puller, yes. A kinetic puller would be one of them, yes.
All right, thank you.
And he's not helping her character.
You were asked some questions about your training of Ms. Zachary. Did you train Ms. Zachary
Because he's got a lot of experience with
specifically on
guns
how
and she
to
doesn't,
handle
basically.
a single action army revolver?
No.
You were asked you were shown a series of photos and asked about Joe Swanson later.
It doesn't even matter though, because she was provided all those, except she brought her own ammunition too. That's the ammunition. Everyone's like, whoa, what was that ammunition? Because we know all his ammunition, and but we don't know what her ammunition was yet.
Labels, do you remember that?
Yes.
Mr. Balls, you want to come up here real quick?
So 2 people brought ammunition, Hannah and him. So far, if you've watched the court, other people testified and all that. So Hannah and him are the only 2 people that brought ammunition. I haven't got there yet. I'm still gonna get there. I don't know who that is. I'm gonna watch that video. I got another video after this to watch about the case.
All right.
It's long. It's gonna take a while.
I'm going to show Mr. Kinney.
I want to know the truth.
States exhibits
Nothing but the truth.
193 through.
And then it's still
208, and I don't believe
I'm
there's an
still
objection,
not
and I would ask
proceed.
for permission to publish.
No objection, Your Honor.
Yeah, now they say it out loud.
To what? 208?
208.
Is admitted, you may publish.
That was the first time they ever did that.
Now,
Usually they were
Mr.
on
Kinney,
mute sidebar.
For the purposes of these questions, I want you to think back
38 special
to
long.
the photo
38
that you saw of the
special
Joe Swanson
lead,
box
120
that
grain.
was taken
125
from the set
grain.
of Rust. Do you recall the photo I'm talking about? If not, I'll show it to you again.
The one on the prop cart, just to be clear.
Yes,
Yes?
the dummies.
Yes.
Joe Swanson dummies.
Yes.
Oh, 38
with
special.
the JS in the middle.
Yes.
Those are 38
And
specials.
you indicated that you have never had a box that had that kind of label.
Correct.
So,
Specifically 45 long cold.
well, let's go through them. States Exhibit 193, are those labels just like the one from the set of Rust?
Well, no.
Right, that's not a trick question.
Seems like
How about these? States Exhibit 194, are those just like the ones from the set of Rust?
no.
Same question here, 195. We've got several boxes. If you need me to zoom in on anything, I'm happy to.
She's saying all this because the defense lawyer, the bald dude, was like, you got all this fucking ammunition everywhere. It could easily be mixed up. So the prosecutor's like, clearing things up to the jury. Was any of this ammunition even on Rust? No. No. So, all the stuff he said was pointless.
No. It's, yes. No, I don't. Need you to zoom.
Are any of those the same as the box from Rust?
No.
These, are any of these the same as the box from Rust?
But he does have a lot of ammo, and I'm jealous.
How about these?
No.
I'm
And
very
that's,
jealous.
for the record, States Exhibit 197. States Exhibit 198, how about these?
No.
States Exhibit 199, how about these?
No.
States Exhibit 200, same question.
No.
States Exhibit 201, same
I need
question.
that.
No.
I want to go to war.
States Exhibit 202, over on the left, same question.
No.
States Exhibit 203, same question.
No.
States Exhibit 204.
No.
States Exhibit 205.
No.
States Exhibit 206.
Yes.
No.
Oh, I thought those ones got on
States
set.
Exhibit 207.
Wait, I thought those ones went on set. I thought those were the blank ones. The ones in the box. What? I'm confused now. I thought those were the only ones. Or whatever.
States Exhibit 206.
No.
States Exhibit 207.
No.
States Exhibit 208.
No.
He's like, what the fuck?
You testified that you provided some fake guns to for Rust. Is that right?
Yes. Replica guns. Yes.
Did you
No, none of those boxes were on Rust. It's proof.
provide any
This
fake
guy didn't do anything.
long guns for the set of
That's
Rust?
just accidentally. Can you go outside with me, boo boo, real quick? Hurry up. Come on, go outside. Okay, boo boo. Come on, hurry up.
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Oh,
I
sorry.
have two follow-up.
Alright. Okay, boo boo. What? Hurry up. Better
Okay,
not.
just, two follow-up.
Better not.
With regard to turning a live into a dummy, you talked about one piece of equipment. What other equipment would you need to do that?
You okay?
Well, you need a piece of equipment to press out the primer.
Don't.
You'd
Up
need,
here. Up here.
you know, a press
Up
and reload it, and it installed with a proper
Here,
reloading
go on the bed.
guise.
Go on the bed. Go up.
You would need some way of
You wanna lay down on the
measuring
ground?
powder as well,
Here.
potentially dispensing the
No.
powder. And then you need a piece of equipment to load the primer into the case.
Up. Okay. It's okay. Go on.
Okay. Now, I think you testified that you didn't train Sarah Zachary on the use of the single-action revolver.
Correct.
And she was under your license, so was she not permitted to use that?
No, she was permitted.
Okay. Even without the training?
Well, a cold gun.
See, these are the questions I want to hear. The Sarah questions. How he's related to Sarah. Because he's got to cover Sarah's ass. Sarah hired Hannah. So Hannah and Sarah are friends. But this guy and Hannah aren't. But Sarah and this guy are. That's why it's weird. And Sarah's getting sued. Which I don't know how she's paying the money.
It's a good
unless
question.
it's him.
I don't recall going over. I just don't remember training her to check for safe on a single action army. I think, the thinking was, is Hannah's the armor. She's going to take care of it.
Okay, but you did train her with regard to, you did certify her on your paperwork.
Well, there's no certification.
Okay, not certification, but you did have her on your paperwork.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, you're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, he's done with Sarah. This is what I've been waiting for. And then we can go to your thing now. After this testimony. He feels better now. He can go do some coke. Go back to shooting some guns.
The state will briefly recall Corporal Hancock.
Jared, you're doing okay? You need that?
He was shaking his boots.
Okay. Soda? Something? What? I can't hear you.
Mr. Judge, raise your right hand.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
How is she gonna pay $41 million or whatever that is?
George, I think this person.
Is she a millionaire? Oh, don't go sidebar on me.
Are you writing it up?
I'll fast forward.
Okay, go ahead.
Corporal, thank you for.
Dude, he was a G with it.
Second round on the
This
witness
bitch
stand.
is getting sued. She probably fucks up. She's gonna slip up.
As a sworn law enforcement
But this
officer,
girl's on her
are
side.
you
We gotta hear what the
familiar
defense
with
lawyer
the,
says.
Crime of negligent use of a firearm? Yes.
Prosecutor's on her
What are
side.
the different ways that
Because we gotta get Hannah,
elements of
remember.
negligent use of a firearm can be fulfilled?
Can we approach?
Yes.
Ah, why does he have to approach all the time, bro? It should be pissing me off. Approach. Can't you object? Say it out loud, you pussy. Oh, now the jury left. What happened? Oh, they took a break.
Hey everybody, Law and Crime's Jesse Weber
I
here.
kind of like what he... I want to see what his
So much for
opinion
watching
is.
our coverage of the Rust trial of Hannah Gutierrez Reed. This case makes me think about how people get hurt in all kinds of situations that should not happen. And if you do get injured, it is so.
Oh, he's doing the
important to know your
ad.
rights.
Never mind. You
Offers
little
in these
bitch.
cases.
You're doing an ad. Usually you talk about the case in a little ad.
Was doing his demonstration with his single action army.
Yes, I was.
And as a trained law enforcement officer, are you proficient in firearms?
She's a law enforcement officer?
Have you
Wait,
been
that's
able
not Hannah. Wait, on the stand. Oh, Alex Hancock, Sheriff's Office. I knew that wasn't Sarah, bro. Oh, chat is so stupid, bro. They kept saying, "Is that Sarah?" Yeah, that's her. Not my chat. The other chat. Because I already seen Sarah. She's got straight hair. And she looks totally different. Yeah, and she's like crying. Yeah, this is Sarah. Oh my god. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? I was so confused. Thank God. Fucking chat is so stupid. Because I was watching the court and I'm like, they're saying this is Sarah. This is the prop master. So she takes all the props that everyone gathers up and, makes sure that they don't get lost, and she takes control of them. She got sued by the medic. The medic that had to save the girl that's bleeding out. The medic has PTSD now. And she sued this girl for millions of dollars. Alec Baldwin sues them too. Everyone's suing each other. I don't know, but yeah, it happened. I don't know why it's not popping up like crazy.
To access that gun that Mr. Haig was using for his demonstration today.
Yes.
And did you attempt to view the barrel of the gun without removing the cylinder?
Yes.
Were you successful?
Yes.
You were?
Well, sorry, in looking
Good
at
morning,
it, yes,
America,
but not
really.
fully.
I hope that's
Okay.
just where you had to
So
find
why don't
them
you
and
explain
not a
to
source.
the jury what you did in order to try to do a barrel check for debris or items in the
Yeah, I
barrel
know, it's a
without
fucking
removing the
officer.
cylinder.
Okay.
It's a detective.
So with the revolver that Mr. Haig had.
The chat when I was watching this earlier, not my chat, but the main chat on this thing when it was live, kept saying, "Is that Sarah? We finally seen Sarah."
Brought in.
I was like, "What the fuck?"
What I did was essentially I took the hammer
It's like, that kid's
to
not Sarah.
half cock, which would allow that cylinder to spin freely. So then I tried to look down the barrel, kind of from the side of that revolver. You can see
Why are people hitting me
little
up
bit
on
of
Discord?
light shining through it, but you cannot fully see like an unobstructed barrel view
Is
when
it
you're
this?
looking down it. So it's essentially what I would kind of consider looking like at a corner. So you're not really able to see, parts of that corner. Next,
Oh, okay.
I pulled
I
the
was hoping that
camera
wasn't your source.
fully back.
I hate
all
that
the
liberal
way,
fucking
to see if you could see where
news
the
channel.
firing pin goes into that
It's a hot
cylinder. So I
cop.
tried to look down that way to see if I could see the entirety of the barrel. Again, that hole it's too small. I could see light shining through, but not enough to where I could say that the barrel was completely empty, or that I would be confident enough to say that there wasn't anything in the barrel. And then the last thing that I did uncomfortably is I actually took that revolver and with it at the full cock position, I actually looked down the barrel of that gun and used a light source because it was really hard to see in it with it being, it's dark, it's a darker barrel. So I looked, actually had that barrel pointing at my face, and...
Are you a fucking idiot? You can achieve the same thing with just taking out the fucking cylinder.
To try to look.
You could take out the
down
whole
it.
cylinder. It's not
Too
stuck
dark
in there.
to see it just normally, so I used a light source to try to look down. But again, when you're shining that light source down the barrel, you're having to move in different directions. So
I don't know why they didn't take out the cylinder the whole time when they were unloading and loading it.
say that that the barrel would be free of anything like debris or any sort of particles in those checks.
You
All right,
never
thank
put
you.
your head
Shifting
in the end
gears,
of a barrel. You never
are
need to. There's no
familiar
reason you should ever
with
do
the
that.
name Brian Norvell?
No matter what.
Yes.
And do you know whether or not he was interviewed?
Let
in
alone
this
cocked.
case?
Is this lady crazy?
You know, or he was?
He was.
Okay. And were the defense attorneys present for that interview?
Yes, they were.
Have you listened to the entire interview?
Yes, I have.
Did the defense, and let me ask you, in terms of let's go back to State's Exhibit 2, in terms of Mr. Benavidez's video, who is Brian Norvell on that video?
So in that lapel video, Brian Norvell is the individual that brings that prop cart over in front of the patrol unit to Lieutenant Benavidez, and he's the same individual that reaches his hand over the crime scene tape to pick something up off the cart.
Approximately how long was the interview that you listened to?
It was about an hour and 45 minutes, give or take.
Did anyone from the defense ask Mr. Norvell any questions?
No.
Were you present in the courtroom when Mr. Bowles asked Mr. Kinney approximately how many times he called you? And I think Mr. Kinney agreed it was approximately 40 times.
Yes.
Oh, this is the detective he was contacting and calling. Fuck yeah, I would have been calling this bitch 40 times. She's hot as fuck. The guy that walked out that you said that did a good job, the guy, the fucking dude with the machine guns, he was calling this fucking officer like crazy because, like I said, bro, he's paranoid, bro. He had all these guns and fucking, he thought they were gonna pin this all on him. That was his testimony, and so he's freaking out and shit. And he had like, it was high in ammo and shit. Like, he was freaking out, bro. So I kept calling this detective, I guess, 40 something plus times.
Bowles call you?
Quite a bit, not just calls, but also emails and text messages.
He's texting you too?
Would you say it was more than 40
He either
minutes?
wants to fuck or he's scared to death.
I'd say at least around there.
Oh, my headset's dead again.
And how many times
we're going on mute.
you?
A handful, maybe between 5 and 10.
All right.
And this time, I'm gonna watch your video and then I'm getting off. Because it sucks not talking without the... I hate hitting mute on my thing.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness. Oh,
Unless you don't care about the echo. I can't wait for Alec Baldwin's trial. Wait, I thought he pleaded not guilty though, or someone said he's got a trial though. Is it a civil trial for money? Or is it a court trial? I didn't see the trial. To stand trial. This summer, yeah. He's gonna stand trial this summer. So he pled not guilty then if he's going to trial. He pled guilty to some charges, but not all, maybe? Is that what it is?
Ross exam.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Corporal Hancock, isn't it true that I'm representing Ms. Gutierrez?
Oh, he's going to get a year and a half if he's convicted.
Capacity.
Yes.
She's going to get 3.
Seth Kinney, on the other hand, is a
but if she
suspect
obviously
in the case,
is,
right?
you know.
According to who?
I gotta mute it because
Well, you're the
echoing
investigator.
probably
Did you
crazy.
ever look at him as a potential suspect?
Yeah, he was investigated.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking you. Do you normally talk to potential suspects that many times in a case?
I don't think there's a limit to how much we talk to them.
With regard to the barrel obstruction that you looked at, and you did that, you're not an expert in inspecting firearms.
No.
And you said you're fairly proficient, but you don't know, for example, the tools that are used. You didn't have a tool with you?
No, that was just by eye.
Okay. So you just did kind of a casual attempt, but you're not an expert at doing that, are you?
I tried to replicate the way that was said that the barrel checks were done.
Well, you didn't have the tool. You just said that.
Correct.
And did you do this outside?
It was done inside.
Yeah, and are you aware the light is quite a bit different when you do it outside?
Correct.
So you said even doing it inside, under less favorable lighting conditions, you were still able to see some light coming through it, correct?
Yes.
And you didn't replicate it outside, did you?
No, that's why I used a light source.
Okay, you knew this was being done outside on the rust set.
I would assume so, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it was done inside as well.
Oh, you don't know that?
Correct.
So you're assuming. So your demonstration did not repeat the same conditions either.
This lawyer's a dick.
Again, I can't say the exact way that it was done.
His head looks like my dick head. So I feel for him. He's trying to help this little girl out, but she's not innocent, bro. She does coke and she's a little girl. And her mom's Jewish. No, I know, but I'm just saying.
You stand before the judge, raise your
He's not like proven evidence. He's not helping her out. Like if he was a dick and helping out her, I would understand. But he's just he's not doing good so far.
Floor would be great, thank you.
The only defense she has is her natural defense. If anything, he's making it worse.
Good afternoon, sir. Would you state your full name for the record, please?
Good afternoon. Michael Allen Primo.
Mr. Primo, how are you currently employed?
I am employed through a company called Primo Forensics, where I am a partner. The firm specializes in the analysis of digital multimedia evidence, so audio recordings, video recordings, and image recordings used in litigation.
Can you summarize for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your education and background and experience in this field?
Sure. So I began my education and training with the University of Lawrence Technological University in Southfield, Michigan. I obtained a bachelor's in audio engineering technology. From there, I started getting training from LEVA, which is the Law Enforcement and Emergency Services Video Association.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Training 1 through 4 and became a certified forensics video technician. I've also received training in the products for image and video enhancement through one of the popular vendors is Amped, as well as Input Ace, formerly known as Axon Investigate. I've also received training from Leica in the analysis and use of 3D laser scanning technology. Medex Forensics, which is another forensic tool
who the
used
fuck
to
is this guy?
authenticate multimedia evidence.
Oh, he's about to examine these barrels. See, that's what they should have looked like this, bro, when you took them out. I don't know if you can see it because my webcam's in the way.
A member of SWIGDE, which is the Scientific Working Group on Digital Evidence. They're an organization that generates best practices in digital multimedia forensics, as well as digital forensics, so audio forensics, video forensics, image forensics, computer forensics, which includes cell phone forensics, and then they also have a quality committee that handles the quality control for digital forensics. I'm currently serving as the video chair with the video committee. I'm also a member of the Audio Engineering Society, the International Association for Identification, and LEVA.
And sir, can you how long have you been in
Sidebar, objection.
I've been practicing for a little over 10 years now.
And during that time, who have some of your clients been or parties that you've assisted?
So I've worked for both sides of the court on criminal as well as civil cases. So both the defense as well as the plaintiff for civil cases, and for criminal cases, the
objection
and the defense. I've contracted for the DOD, the DOJ, the FBI, the FDA, and several Attorney General's offices. So a lot of attorneys.
And Specifically, have you been qualified as an expert
Objection.
In the areas of audio or video and image forensics?
Yes, I have.
How many times have you been qualified as an expert in those areas?
Objection.
I have given testimony as an expert a little over a dozen times.
Lack of foundation. He's not an expert.
And then I've also provided deposition testimony, probably about the same, maybe a little more.
What is this defense lawyer doing? Object this shit. You're not a fucking expert.
Primo as an expert in the areas of audio, video, and image forensics.
How?
All right. So
Finally!
recognized as an audio,
He
video,
didn't prove
image
shit.
forensics expert.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bro, this defense lawyer sucks. I would have been like, objection. Prove that shit.
Thank you.
The acoustics in the room are a little strange.
Okay, it's good to know.
How did you become involved in this case?
We were contacted initially to examine several sources of digital images that were captured from a variety of devices by Ms. Morrissey.
And did you prepare a report?
Yes, I did.
And was your work peer reviewed?
Yes, my work was technically peer reviewed by a colleague of similar qualifications.
And is that what peer review means? You give it to someone else in the field and they double check your work?
That's correct. To ensure the accuracy of the application of the methodology, as well as the opinions offered, it's recommended that reports are technically peer reviewed by a colleague that has similar qualifications.
Okay. I'm going to show you some exhibits. We're going to get ourselves set up.
Here we go. It's time. I know it drags on, but these are the reasons why I watch this shit.
On that one for just a second. Mr. Primo, I am showing you what is already admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 118. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And is this an image that I provided you to do some enhancement on?
It appears so, yes.
And is there a particular part of this image that you were asked to enhance or clarify?
Yes, so the area specific.
George, will you show him how he can touch and clear?
Okay, so this is a touch screen. You can either draw on it or you can chat. Clear.
Let's see if I can do this. That works. So the arrow indicates the section of the image that was the focus of the request, which appears to be some sort of ammunition for enhancement as well as enlargement of the image.
Okay, I'm going to show you what I have marked as State's Exhibit 178, and I would ask the court to admit it, and I would ask for permission to publish.
No objection.
State's 178 is admitted. You may publish.
I'm sorry, but her eyes are red as hell. She's high as fuck.
Can you explain to the jury what we're looking at in State's Exhibit 178?
Sure. So the tool that was used primarily throughout the course of the investigation is called...
He's an expert. Bro, no. Stop. Pause it. Where's it at? He's an expert because he can literally turn up the grain and like the HDR on an image. Bro, I'm an expert, bro. How do you get these expert degrees? Like, how do you get these jobs to where, like, bro, I know how to do this times 1,000. I could make that image look way better. Or he just put a little filter on that shit.
Audio analysis, with which, when you bring the image into the tool, it performs a non-destructive workflow that allows us to clarify or identify specific regions of the imagery, which is shown on the right-hand side of the screen as the clarified identification for the version that was enhanced. Clarification and enhancement kind of are synonymous with the label admissibility. The image on the left is a specific filter arrangement in the tool that allows us to compare what was originally cropped or selected and then what was clarified, what processes were applied. So we can see, in accordance with best practices, what exactly happened between the two components, the two sections that were cropped.
So when you attempted to clarify the image, is there a reason that you weren't able to make it less blurry?
That's what sucks. You need degrees. I would like to do shit without degrees.
Processes to try to clear up that blurriness that you're seeing in the image. And they were unsuccessful at being able to accurately make it so that it was perfectly in focus again. So there were likely a number of reasons as to why.
I clean up murder scenes. You know the people that clean up murder scenes? You kind of want to do that.
If memory serves, sharpening, which improves the edge detail against different edges, and then of course enlargement or resizing of the image.
And sir, the fact that this portion of the image that I asked you to take a close look at, the fact that that is in the background of the photo, how does that affect things?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, if I go back to
Yeah, but thing is that I need to like edit like YouTube videos of me watching them or something. Especially like new cases, new cases that just happened and review them, so people don't have to watch the whole fucking 14-day trial or whatever it
doesn't
is.
necessarily affect it from a clarification perspective. It wasn't so far out of blur that I would consider it unreliable to make determinations from. We can still see a lot of information in that background. It wasn't like those objects were several hundred feet or even
metal in the center of what appears to be ammunition.
I do, yes.
What are those colors?
Exhibit, light level adjustments, so shadow and highlight improvements, sharpening, and then
Oh, this is actually more important. I shouldn't be skipping this, because that's the live ammo. Oh shit, I shouldn't be skipping this shit. I'm tired though. I don't know, I wanted to get to your video. But this is important. Fuck, alright, whatever.
away from the focus of the camera. But that being further back in the scene does complicate our ability to
And I'm showing you what is already in evidence as States Exhibit 162, where you provided this image for clarification and forensic work.
Yes, I was.
And was there a particular part of
That's when she had the fucking SJW.
Yes, so the section
hair. COVID mask, she was SJW.
Here is the section of the screen that was of interest.
Oh! She's guilty, bro. Oh, she's guilty. At least she knows how to take out the whole cylinder before fucking shooting. But yeah, she's guilty. She's guilty. Look, I didn't know she had that little thing at the bottom. That's the same ammo that the live ammo they found. Sorry to break it to you, Robin, but your girlfriend is under arrest.
For clarification, so enhancement.
You have leveled up to level 5 though, congratulations.
Of that imagery.
And were you able to enlarge and clarify that?
Well, here's how. If this guy's image matches that image, so if those bullets, see how that blurry image, that's why she hired the expert, and she wants to classify him as an expert, and he should deny that he's an expert, because that image, if it's anywhere close to what that box of ammunition looks like, then she's fucked, basically. Does that make sense?
image.
Yes, that section of the image was suitable for clarification. And
That's why they clarify.
Exhibits were generated.
Well, the thing is, if you Photoshop it, it's gonna turn a different color. So that's a good argument, like for the defense. But yeah, I mean, they're basically, it's kind of sketchy because they can make it any color. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, if that picture matches that, it's not gonna look good for her. That's all I'm saying.
Enlarged, and then compare in original format that we saw earlier, where it's the side
That's why she's looking all weird now.
as well as a picture-in-picture style within the toolgame file.
How do you know whether or not the image is appropriate for clarification?
There are several components that we evaluate.
This is the part I don't want to hear, though.
The images, things like are
This
the
nerdy
objects,
shit.
high enough resolution or pixels. So every picture is made up of
I already know about all this
squares
shit.
that are pixels. And if the resolution of that picture is limited, then the enlargement process could produce inaccurate results for clarifying or making that image bigger. In addition, the position of those objects within the scene, the light level of that scene, so is the image too dark that we can't actually restore or enhance those sections to make them more visible to the human eye?
This is fucking gibberish,
as well
bro.
as things like compression, image compression or data compression, which can reduce.
When you fucking download it, it makes it worse. He's basically saying a whole bunch of fucking nothing. We know what it is, but he's extending it to fucking make it sound like it's some crazy profession.
The amount of
fucking photo editing. And sometimes you can't photo edit correctly because pictures they get too compressed, so they start looking different. And what the other thing he said, what he was talking about, I totally forgot because it was so fucking stupid.
Information that was originally captured by the device, or introduce information that wasn't originally there.
Oh, there we go. Well, no, that goes back to what he was originally saying. So if you take a picture on your phone, obviously it's going to look better than if someone sends you a picture.
So we evaluate all of these components prior to engaging with an enhancement.
All right.
I'll show you what.
Wait, what's your question?
I'm going to show you what I have marked as State's Exhibit. Is it 176? Your Honor, for the record, Mr. Bulls does not have an objection to any of these exhibits. So,
why not?
I would ask that 176 be admitted into evidence and obviously co-publishing.
I would have objected that. If I was defense, I would have been like, no, that shit's
Mr.
colored.
Primo, what are we looking at here?
This is a clarified exhibit that depicts that region of interest, which is demonstrated in the lower right-hand corner.
See what I'm saying? Like, they can literally change the color. They can literally zoom in this picture with her, clarify it, which kind of changes it a little bit. Go take their other photo that they have that's just like this, clarify the one that was already clarified that we laughed at that had a filter, and if they look exactly the same, then she's the one that brought it. That's basically the evidence.
That has been enhanced using sharpness, light level adjustments, as well.
That's the only evidence I've seen.
It's a picture-in-picture style.
That's why I freaked out, because this is the only evidence
of the
besides my bias towards people.
Which is the ammunition, and it appears to be
and how they act. This is actual evidence.
Thank you. This is State's Exhibit 177.
But it's not. But there's still doubt. It's not beyond reasonable doubt, though.
Objection, Your Honor. 177 is admitted. You may publish.
Mr. Primo, can you describe what we're looking at here?
Oh, here we go. This is the picture I was looking for. When you, as someone that edits videos and does color grading and everything, when you enhance a photo, the number one thing happens, it gets brighter. The second thing that happens, you kind of start seeing like where a flash, if any type of flash lighting would be, that's going to be really bright and blurry. So if you notice, the shadows, they're darker. Right here. Over here is lighter. Like wonder, like it's like it gets grainy too. Like it's like totally different. Like it's a whole like. It's basically like you're taking a picture with flash on with an Android versus like an Android versus like an iPhone in the dark. So like that's basically what it is. But I don't know how this clarified evidence. So this is the same picture, but this is what it looks like when they zoom it up. So basically what happens is this. So they're going to take this ammunition, all right? They're going to do the same exact editing on this picture as the other picture. See, I thought they at first were going to match this original picture. Well, I don't know if they're going to do it yet, but what they should do is match this, or what I thought they were going to do is match this original picture to their clarified picture. That would be shady. But if they can match this original picture that's clarified to the other picture that's clarified, so they're both clarified, then that's kind of fair. So let's see what they do.
This is a demonstrative exhibit that shows the original frame picture that was processed or clarified on the left-hand side of the screen.
I think they forgot to do the sharpness.
Which has been, if memory serves, rotated slightly so that we can better see it within this exhibit. Light level adjustments, so shadow and highlight improvements, sharpening, and then
maybe
enlargement of the pixel region. So that's the original version, and then on the right-hand side, all of those processes were applied. A side-by-side exhibit.
Are you able to see, just by using your eyes, a slight difference in the color of the primers of the ammunition on the top area of that styrofoam insert?
Is she not going to do what I thought she was going to do?
The ammunition here in this lower section.
Yes. So these two things that we're evaluating are visually dissimilar.
You see the color of it? See how that's silver? See how that primer's silver? See how that's silver and the other ones are gold? The other ones are like fully gold, and then these three are silver. These are live rounds, and those are blanks or dummies. See the difference?
In terms of light and color.
And while
see, but the live round is on the left, the dummies on the right.
See the difference.
Now I see what they're talking about. I thought they were comparing the photos or something.
Do in order to verify that that they are actually different colors.
There are some tests that we can apply to analyze that information on a deeper level, which is at its core evaluating how the technology works.
It's right.
So
it's right on her. It's right on her
Apple
picture.
Device, iOS device, and whether or not that information that was being.
Yeah, that's her picture. And she's that's it, bro. And she's wearing the fucking costume and everything, bro. So I don't think she did it. Well, it's either she did it on purpose and she was going through the SJW fucking crazy shit, or she didn't do it on purpose. I don't know, but it reminds me of that Tennessee shooting with the fucking transgender.
Being collected by the electronics within that device was being accurately communicated.
But the thing is, I don't know. I feel like Alec Baldwin had something to do with it too.
Format. So there's a test that we applied throughout. I applied throughout the analysis. On this particular image, I was not confident in my ability to do so.
To verify it.
Correct. To verify that those tonal values, those color and luma values are in fact dissimilar.
So just to be clear, your testimony is you can see the difference, but you are not able to digitally verify it.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's crazy. I thought you could verify it. You know how like you go over, like you scroll over certain colors and they have different lettering and stuff on pictures? I thought you could be able to do that with the different colors. Unless he's really not an expert, and a real expert can do that. It can tell the difference of the colors if you click on it. Like, it'll explain in different texts. It's got to be different. Like, the pixels or whatever.
Let's switch over for a video. And of course, unfortunately, that requires me to change devices. Play an album.
Serves more.
And is this one of the videos that you digitally enhanced for me?
That is correct.
You know, and quite frankly, I understand that we can't hear it, but whatever is being said is not relevant. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the audio. Okay.
Okay, understood.
And what specifically were you asked to do with regard to this video? What was I asking?
So that's Sarah with the mask, and Hannah's on the left. Hannah's on the left, Sarah's on the right. Alec Baldwin, when he was asked questions after this incident, he said, Hannah always handed me the gun. Hannah always handed me the gun. But then he was like, he had no remorse or nothing. He was just like, he said, I didn't even pull the trigger. It was like crazy, bro. Alec Baldwin said some crazy shit, bro. Like, I don't know, like, if you're an innocent person, why would you say all that stuff and lie?
Asking you to look for and try to enhance.
The pixel regions are the areas depicting the ammunition within what's my understanding is a bandolier that Mr. Baldwin is attempting to wear. Several still images were extracted from the video recording for clarification.
And can you see the ammunition with the primer side of the ammunition facing the camera in this still frame?
That is correct.
Would this be an example of some of the still frames that you collected from this video at my request?
I would have to examine the specific video image numbers, but it was in this range that it becomes most visible. I'm uncertain if it's this exact video image. Every video image in a video recording is marked with a frame number, so we count them. We can count them in a linear fashion. I would have to examine the project to know if definitively if it was this video image, but it was in this series of time.
It was one of these still frames in this video?
Correct.
And perhaps more than one?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I am going to play for you States Exhibit 188. Same issue, Your Honor. Foundation was laid by Production Outfitters, and I would like to move it into evidence and ask permission to publish.
No objection. States 188 is admitted. You may publish.
Mr. Primo, were you asked to do basically the same thing with this video?
That is correct.
When the camera was zoomed in here at the beginning, were you able to collect some still frames of the ammunition in that holster?
That is correct.
Did you see how he handed that gun? He handed it to him, pointed it at himself, bro. These people are stupid. I'm not gonna lie, Hannah was pretty good. She pointed the gun down. I mean, what I'm seeing, the evidence looks bad and she looks bad, but what I would just seen right now, she pointed the gun down. She had the gun down the whole time. I mean, when he pulled it out, it was kind of reckless. pulled it at himself. But the fact that she changed her hair and everything, that's suspicious.
Because we have to switch devices.
But I wouldn't go to court with green hair anyway.
Another video from a different time frame.
Okay.
and then we'll move back to images. So,
well, yeah, of course. That's how do you think she got the fucking job?
As states
She had to know someone.
164.
Someone.
Do you recognize this video?
Someone likes her.
I do, yes.
Or someone knows her.
Is this another video that you were asked to conduct a forensic analysis on?
And how does she have all this money for lawyers? 3 lawyers?
So this video, the way that this device works is actually recording several pictures. And the tool that allows us to interpret those images plays them back in rapid succession, giving the effect that it's a video. This is a product of that proprietary tool from that particular vendor of the camera. But in answer to your question, yes, it is a video, but in its raw format, they're actually multiple pictures.
And what kind of camera?
That's what a video is, multiple pictures.
This is an RE Alexa Mini, if memory serves.
And in terms of good cameras, bad cameras, sophisticated cameras, simple cameras, where does this camera fall?
The lay interpretation is it's kind of like the Lamborghini of cameras. It's a very high-end tool.
Lamborghini?
Other devices.
All right, thank you, sir.
Oh, I forgot I didn't mute myself. It's probably echoing. My bad.
Can you see the ammunition there on the left-hand side?
Yes, I don't
we get to watch the movie for free.
That it is ammunition, but it's my understanding that those are casings of some sort. But yes, that's what it appears to be.
Okay. And is it somewhere in this area where you were able to isolate some still frames? And I'll go ahead and play it for you there.
That is correct. In preparation for my report from my investigation, 4 instances, 4 images were extracted from the tool in a raw RGB TIFF format. In preparation for testimony, additional images were extracted for review.
She's trying to twist her hair and everything and act like a real girly girl, but she's really not. She's a tomboy. Like, I can't wait to get off all this fucking makeup and this shitty hair. I want to go back to fucking fighting justice.
And for the record, I am going to show
don't worry, bro. I imped for her at first too. I made a whole title saying free Hannah until I learned some stuff. It doesn't follow my alignment, so I can't.
I believe there isn't an objection. I'd like to have them admitted and permission to publish.
No objection.
States 179 through 186 is admitted. You may publish.
Thank you. Mr. Primo, I'm showing you what's been marked as States Exhibit 179. Can you describe to us what we're looking at here?
This is frame 237 from one of the 2 of the digital video files that we saw that didn't have audio playback. That frame on the left-hand side of the screen is what's been cropped as the area of focus.
And let me stop you real quick. As a point of clarification, I showed you 2 videos of Mr. Baldwin putting on his bandolier, and then there was another video of Mr. Baldwin with a young man. Do you remember those?
Yes, the 2 with the putting on the bandolier is what I was referring to. Yes.
Oh, their monitor isn't working. Sorry.
That's okay.
Do they really need their own personal little monitor? Come on, move on. You're a shitty lawyer anyway, and you're not objecting to anything, so what the fuck do you need to see to not object? And cause this innocent girl to fucking go to jail for 3 years because you're the shittiest lawyer ever. I swear this lawyer sucks.
Do it with. We don't need to look at it. We know what these images look like.
Well, let me wait.
Bro, all that work for nothing. So they just showed him the fucking images instead. That was like 30 minutes.
Oh. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me stop for just a moment, Mr. Primo. The first set of images that we were looking at with the styrofoam insert sitting on a person's leg and the ammunition in the background that was blurry, were you able to determine the dates that those images were taken?
Yes, the examination of the metadata, which is data about data from the photos, was evaluated as a part of the enhancement process.
And what was the date?
The date that the
letting this guy in was a mistake. He's fucking too smart. He's gonna get her convicted. I wouldn't have known to let this guy in.
Is October 10th, 2021, at approximately 9 a.m. 42:11 seconds.
Okay. And just to be clear, the videos that we showed you of Mr. Baldwin putting on his bandolier, were you able to determine the date of those?
I did not evaluate the date-time created information from those videos, no.
But the jury can rely on the testimony of other witnesses for the appropriate dates for that. And then we'll get to the next one in a moment. So let's go ahead and begin again. State's Exhibit 179, what are we looking at here?
This is a comparison of the specific region that was cropped, demonstrating the bandolier and the ammunition. At frame 237, I don't recall which video exhibit this came from. But as you can see here on the left, this is the original information that does not have any clarification, application of any clarification to it. The image on the right is a clarified version that uses resizing of that section to make it larger.
I'm fucking heated. This bitch ain't even looking at the monitor, and they spent 30 minutes fucking fixing it. Look, she looked at it and rolled her eyes.
But as you can see here on the left, this is the original information that does not have any clarification.
You guys wanted your fucking monitor to work.
Clarification to it.
She looks at it for a second.
The image on the right is a clarified version that uses resizing of that section to make it larger, light level adjustments, shadow and highlights, shadows, midtones, and highlights, and sharpening.
And sir, in both images, but in particular in the clarified image on the right, are you able to determine that one of the supposed pieces of ammunition seems to have a silver coloring in the center?
Visually, yes. Objectively, through that deeper methodology that I talked about, no, we did not apply that method for verification.
Okay, let's move to State's Exhibit 180. Tell us what we're looking at here.
This is another instance, video image 218.
Now she's looking at the monitor. Hey, there you go, girl. Look at that fucking monitor you guys took fucking 40 minutes to set up and we're crying about.
From the video exhibit that was isolated, the section on the left-hand side that was cropped is from the original video image. The section on the right was clarified and enlarged. Similar processes were applied.
And in this image, when we compare it to the previous image, that being State's Exhibit 179,
you could see the silver bullet. She brought a silver bullet. She brought a silver bullet to kill Alec Baldwin, but it accidentally went. Well, she knew Alec Baldwin was the only person with the gun, and that was going to be shooting the gun. But in the video, who was the gun usually pointed at? I wonder if she wanted that director killed. Is that the intended target? Who did she want to kill? She just wanted to go off on accident? Was it really an accident? Did she want to kill someone? What was the truth? We need a... What's it called when you murder someone? And we need a, like a reason? What is it called? I'll think of it.
do you see that change in color, that silver type color, in the same place in both images?
Yeah, we need a motive.
Same place on the same piece of ammunition, or rather, where the ammunition is located.
That is correct. Yes, it's a lighter tonal value or representation, which is dissimilar than the other tonal values in chroma and luma, light and color, that appears dissimilar.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 181. Tell us what we're looking at here.
This is frame 237. Similar processes were applied. The image on the left-hand side is the original that has not been resized from the video recording. The image on the right is the clarified version that has been resized, enhancement processes applied. And then the entire image was actually resized, I don't think I mentioned this, to format the screen that you're looking at in an HD resolution. So had we not performed that, it would have been a little bit smaller on the screen, because this section was the smallest that we enhanced. Smallest that I enhanced. Because the resolution, the picture size from these videos was much smaller than the RE, which is a very high resolution, and even the photos from the iOS devices, the iPhones, that were captured.
Okay. State's Exhibit 182. Tell us what this is.
This is another representation of frame 218. So when the images were enlarged, two different resizing methods were used to verify that the information that was being enlarged.
Dude, one looks silver, two look super gold, and the other ones look the same. There's one silver one and two super gold looking ones. They all look different.
Kind of like more blocky, pixely, if that's a forensic term, on the right-hand side when it was enlarged.
And in all of the images that we've looked at in this group of images, 179 through 182, do you see the lighter colored primer in the same position, that being what appears to be the third piece of ammunition from the top?
That is correct.
State's Exhibit 183. What's this?
This is frame 175. If memory serves, this is from the other video recording because there's a clear indication of the front of the ammunition. I'm considering the front to be where the projectile is located. In which case, this exhibit on the left is the original section of the video image that was selected, cropped, enlarged. And the clarified version that has clarified processes applied. One particular process that wasn't included on the others is a process called deblurring. So kind of refocusing that image that we're seeing so it's clearer.
Can you see what appears to be that same silver coloring in the piece of ammunition that's third from the top?
It's more difficult to see in this version, but there are slight, the pixel information is there. Yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit 184. Same question.
The pixel information says it's gray, even though you can't see it.
The dissimilar, yes. So the section on the left is the isolated version, clarified version on the right that has been resized, and there is a dissimilar tonal value visibly between those. Specifically, we examined the two ammunition that were side by side.
Okay, thank you. State's Exhibit 185. Same thing, just different frame?
That is correct.
State's Exhibit 186. Same thing, different frame?
This is another version of an alternate resizing algorithm that was used to make the image bigger for verification that no additional information was added to the recording that rendered determinations inaccurate. Like nothing was added to the video that misrepresents what was originally there.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's move to the images that you were able to analyze from the RE video.
It's not about as she put it there. It's about who shot it, or who let this bullet get into his gun for him to shoot it. Was she negligent? Was she negligent or not? Basically, we already know she didn't. You know that, or we don't know that she brought it there. But if it was already there and she put it in the gun, that's what they're trying to prove. They ain't trying to prove she brought it there. They're trying to prove she put it in the gun.
I'm not going to play the video on this device because it will cause the system to crash.
It's not illegal to bring live ammo.
State's Exhibit 189.
It's illegal to be guilty of, what is it, second, third degree murder or whatever? Because you loaded a gun with live rounds when it wasn't supposed to be, and then the person that shot the gun is like second degree, like non-homicide.
And if you recall,
oh, my phone died. I gotta get off. Just watch your video.
Associated with the video from the RE.
May I have a moment to look at my report?
Certainly.
Thank you.
This is weird. The top two look gray. I wonder if the next round he shot would have been a bullet. Top two look gray, the rest, well, I don't know anymore. The top two look gray, and then the one from bottom with it. Not the bottom one, but
the creation date associated with tonal values. I don't know between those two sections. That was selected from the BWC recording. I don't recall from the file title which particular frame this was, but it's a picture-in-picture process using annotate. We can select that portion of the screen and enlarge it.
Is that not the box?
Resize it, container. So basically, what you
let's hear cross. Let's hear cross, and we'll go to your video.
ask you this. When you clarify an image, do you brighten it?
Yes, it's one of the processes to brighten it. If memory serves, when I was trying to enhance, for the request was to examine any identifiers on the box, not specifically that little 2 lines of some sort of information, but to see if there were any identifiers anywhere on that container. So the light was improved to be able to examine that.
Can brightening an image actually reduce some of the detail in the image?
It can, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll pass the witness.
There we go. Cross. Let's see if this lawyer is good. Let's see if she hired the man of the hour. That's going to keep her from doing 3 years in the pen.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Primo, how much were you paid for your work in this case and your report?
That's a good way to start out.
The firm, Primo Forensics, was compensated a value somewhere in the 10,000 range.
That's it? You guys got robbed.
And in the process that you were hired to do, you take images like a picture, or you extract one from media, and then you use tools to try to clarify them. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier in your testimony there's certain things that can cause distortion. I think you said if something's low resolution. Is that right?
Bro, all he's doing is putting a little bit of reasonable doubt. I can't talk right now. I gotta get off. All he's doing is putting a little bit of reasonable doubt into into the jury's head. I mean, the defense lawyer doesn't have to prove anything, so, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I just like to see a boss defense lawyer, but yeah. They don't have to prove anything. But they kind of need to start disproving shit if there's actual evidence and your client's about to go to jail, you kind of got to step it up. But normally, if they're completely innocent, you don't have to do anything. Unless you're really getting set up, then you better do something really, really crazy because you're getting set up. But like if you did the crime and whatever, your lawyer will usually, no matter what, take your back.
I don't remember saying specifically distortion.
Okay. Yeah, just tell me, what are some of the things that can cause you not to be able to get that clarification?
I don't understand the question.
In some of the images, it looked like at the end, the ones we couldn't see anything. It didn't clarify it, so we couldn't see what was on the box. What prevents that? The resolution originally, or why can't you get that?
The resolution does play a factor in that, as well as the compression level. So at what point the camera is limiting information.
Oh, I see what they're trying to say. They're trying to say she was shooting out of a box with no lettering or no nothing on it, just like the box that was in the picture.
To that digital video file.
There's no lettering on the box.
You also said in some of the pictures you could not verify tonal differences, and if I say it wrong, just tell me. But you did a verification process and you couldn't confirm?
That is correct. I was not confident to apply that.
See, he ain't got nothing but to put doubt. Oh shit.
So given that there's so many unknown variables, some of them you can say that there were tonal differences, like color differences. Some of them you can't. Is that fair?
I don't understand the question.
Some of these pictures you can't be confident that there are tonal differences. Some of them that you looked at, is that what you just said?
I would have to evaluate the particular image to answer that question. Maybe we can show one of them.
Sure. Yeah, there were some of them you said I couldn't verify, and we can go back to the number of that. But I'm just trying to get that. Basically, what you did was you clarified and enhanced pictures, and some of them you can tell us the colors are different. Some of them you can't. Is that right?
That is fair to say that the dissimilarities could not be verified in terms of how that technology was actually working when it captured those values. Yes.
And your technology's got to be much more sophisticated, but it's like, are you familiar with iPhones? People can use filters, they can use edits, that kind of thing.
I'm familiar, yes.
Okay, but yours, I mean, basically, you must be using a much more sophisticated tool, correct?
It's a peer reviewable tool that allows us to apply methodology that is widely accepted. So it's repeatable, it's verifiable. It can be evaluated by people of similar qualifications to ensure that it was being applied correctly and effectively to accurately improve the information.
AKA everyone.
I would say it's relative with respect to sophistication as to what we're comparing it to.
To an iPhone?
To a filter.
Oh, to a
filter. I think iPhone filter is what you had said.
Yes, iPhone filter. Yeah.
But yeah, to a one-to-one comparison, we'd probably have to evaluate which particular filter, but there's no magic in the tool if that's what I think we're trying to evaluate.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was trying to ask. So it's similar to a filter.
They are filters. That's correct, yes. Okay. The filters that are being applied.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
What? We all knew that. Dude, this lawyer sucks,
Yeah,
bro.
just very briefly, sir, in the images from the videos of Mr. Baldwin putting on the bandolier, those two videos that you extracted images from,
Look at the other lawyer. She's like this. She's like, let me just fake right. This poor little girl.
the fact that you see the same color difference in the primer of the piece of ammunition that is in the third position from the top, the fact that you are able to see that color.
If your lawyer has lips like that and nails like that and lashes that she's about to start flying away, that's bad news.
Difference repeatedly in different.
Don't get Johnny Sins and Kim Kardashian as your lawyer. Okay? Letting you guys know this right now. Don't get Johnny Sins and Kim Kardashian as your lawyer. You're gonna lose.
Frames. Is that some indication of reliability that that center primer is actually a different color than the others? Does that make sense?
I think so, yes. So with respect to forensic image video analysis, we're evaluating things from an objective perspective. There are components to that methodology that evaluate context, and they are best practices. I was not asked to evaluate those things with this case. But if I understand your question, I think I do. From a contextual perspective, yes, it does, because there are multiple instances across multiple frames with each of the devices that capture digital video files, which means more images than just one, like an iPhone. So yes, contextually, it does demonstrate that. Yes.
Some additional level of reliability.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. I don't have anything else.
Well, that wraps up day 8. We're going to watch a little extra segment real quick, and then we're getting off.
The moment. We will speak exclusively with the former first camera assistant on the film Rust, who resigned one day before the shooting and part of the safety concern claims. But first, Katie Hart comes in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with the latest. Good morning, Katie.
Hey, good morning, Michael. Every cast and crew member of Rust who we've spoken to in the last nearly 2 weeks has asked to remain anonymous, citing the ongoing investigation. Until now, Lane Looper is ready to speak out, and he's giving more evidence of a troubled production.
The night before that fatal shooting on the set of the movie Rust, the head of the camera department, Lane Looper, emailed production managers a resignation letter. The reasons he said he was quitting: delays in pay, complaints about housing, and safety concerns. Looper writing, "In my 10 years as a camera assistant, I've never worked on a show that cares so little for the safety of its crew." Looper alleging lax COVID policies, and also specifically expressing his concern for weapon safety on set, writing, "During the filming of gunfights on this job, things are..."
Let's be real, guys. If this wasn't during COVID, it wouldn't have been like that crazy, you know. It still would have been crazy, but like the fact that it was during COVID, that's where the safety concerns were super crazy. But yeah, those COVID freak out people, man. Ugh.
Often played very fast and loose, and saying when he raised concerns about the lack of safety meetings with production, we are usually met with the same answers about not having enough time to complete the day if we rehearse. But other crew members paint a different picture. Overnight, Alec Baldwin reposting comments made by the film's costume designer, who says concerns were heard and addressed, and we had several safety meetings, sometimes multiple per day. Producers of Rust telling ABC News Looper's allegations around safety are patently false, and saying that he had absolutely nothing to do with or knowledge of safety protocols.
We need some help as director.
Oh, you're saying so this guy got mad at Alec Baldwin and wanted him to die.
Sure, Nazi Kramer woman has been shot.
Authorities have identified the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, seen in these Daily Mail images, and Assistant Director Dave Halls as the last two crew members who handled the Colt 45 revolver before it was given to Alec Baldwin, loaded with a bullet, something neither they nor Baldwin knew. Hall's lawyer saying checking the gun was not his responsibility, redirecting blame towards the 24-year-old armorer.
The armorer brought the firearm into the scene. The armorer's responsible to make sure the firearm is safe. My client didn't point the firearm at anyone, and my client didn't pull the trigger.
The sheriff acknowledging their investigation is far from over.
It's so important that Mr. Halls and Reed Gutierrez and Mr. Baldwin keep cooperating in the investigation and come in for follow-up interviews to clarify some questions that we have and any discrepancies that may be in the statements.
So the sheriff says they're still trying to determine the facts in this investigation and answer the big question: how did live ammunition end up on that movie set and get loaded into Alec Baldwin's gun? And now we're seeing 200 Hollywood cinematographers, including some of the most prominent, call for a ban on all functional firearms on movie sets in Helena's name.
No shit, that should have been... What the fuck are these people doing? Why were they even shooting real guns? There's so many blank guns out there. Shoot blank guns, they're fun. You can literally shoot them at people, blank guns, not have to worry about anything. You put a live bullet in a blank gun, you're just gonna blow up your fucking hand. That's all that can happen. You're gonna kill yourself, or you're gonna injure yourself. Get blank guns. Because guess what's on the end of the barrel on the blank gun? Solid fucking welded steel. So, and then you load blanks in it that don't have no fucking, nothing in it but gunpowder, so it's impossible for anything to happen. That's why I was surprised when they had real guns. And we're using real guns but shooting blanks. Like that, the only time you do that is if you're at the range or like you're just bored at your house or something. I mean, or like maybe for like a horse race or something, like, but use a horse racing gun. You don't use real guns and shoot blanks unless you're doing like some type of army practice or something. Use blank guns. It's because they didn't want to spend the extra money. They're fucking budget cuts.
George. Okay, Kelly, thanks very much. Let's bring in now Lane Looper, the former first camera assistant on the film Rust. Lane, thank you for joining us this morning. You know, you actually weren't on...
So I guess this is one of the suspects. I don't know. Someone told me this is one of the suspects.
On set the day of the shooting, you resigned the day before for several reasons, including safety concerns. Specify what those safety concerns were.
Well, what I put in my resignation letter was
Alright, let's hear it. This is him.
Lax COVID policies, the housing situation driving to and from Albuquerque, and specifically gun safety, a lack of rehearsals, a lack of preparing the crew for what we were doing that day.
You know, your claims there have been disputed by Therese Davis, who is a costume designer. She made a posting on Facebook, and I want to put it up on the screen right now. After a couple of accidental discharges, she said the guns were checked immediately afterwards. The discharges were announced on set and apologized for. She said, I was right there. We had several safety meetings, she said, sometimes multiple per day.
Even the producers have said that they only had 3 safety meetings by the time I left the show, and that included the day of the shooting. I only personally remember 2 safety meetings that involved the entire crew. If there was a safety meeting, I was left out of it, if there were any more than the 2.
The producers also said your claims are patently false. They say you had nothing to do with or knowledge of safety protocols, and they conclude it's truly awful to see some using this tragedy for personal gain. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, so there's no personal gain in this for me. I'm kind of sticking my neck out here. I don't want to be on camera. I have a pretty unique perspective in that it's important that I be a part of safety as the head of the camera department for protecting the camera operators, knowing what the shot is. You know, it's very important that I play a role in safety. I actually had to take classes in Los Angeles in order to get my union card.
So where was the breakdown here in your mind? Was it the assistant director? Was it the armorer?
I think with Rust, it was a perfect storm of, you know, the armorer, the assistant director, the culture that was on set, the rushing.
It doesn't matter, even if this guy fucking snuck live ammo on the scene, bro. The girl should have seen it and knew that it wasn't a dummy round. She should have picked it up, shook it. If it rattled and made noise, it can go in. If it shook it and it doesn't make noise, that bitch is a live round. They already discussed this in court, so it doesn't matter. That bitch is guilty no matter what. Even if this guy brung it and they all it doesn't matter who brung it on the fucking thing. I mean, it does. They still get charged too for something, but she's gonna get charged for her part of putting the bullet in there. Unless Baldwin snuck his own little bullet in there. And that's what I'm kind of thinking. Alex snuck his little own bullet in there. Or she did it. It's the only possible solutions. Unless, like, unless she's fucking retarded and literally, and magically grabbed the one bullet that he put in there. And if this guy or other people put in a whole bunch of ammunition, people are going to tell. It's going to look completely different. So
It was.
I think that myth is busted.
It wasn't just one individual. Everything had to fall into place perfectly for this 1 in a trillion thing to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She did say she shook all the rounds, so it's somewhere in the line between a Baldwin and her, obviously.
So it really was still 1 in a trillion in your mind?
Like, these guys there could be outliers that possibly put the live rounds on the set, but ultimately it comes down to Baldwin and her. But the thing is, we need to find out. We need to see Baldwin's case, because Baldwin, if someone has like a recording or anything of him, like someone else passing him the gun. Because he did always say, Hannah always passed me the gun, Hannah always passed me the gun. Well, what if someone else passed him the gun? That's why he kept saying it. I don't know, guys. Well, we'll see tomorrow. Court will be in session tomorrow, so we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.